Hello, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Chasing Labels or Spy Number of Chasing Labels. And I am your host Andrew, and today this is Spy Number or episode number 168. So if you have not joined me or joined us as it was originally two of us, if you haven't been here before, welcome. Um uh a little rundown of what goes on here on Chasing Labels is that uh, I myself go over a lot of the recent announcements in the world of boutique label home video releases over the last 2 week period or so between the last episode and now. Basically, it's a little bit of a rundown, a little bit of a discussion about what's coming out in the future. Things that pretty much I'm going to add to my collection, things that I'm interested in, perhaps things you'll be interested in. It's not a cumulative thing of like every single announcement, every single release, just because a lot of it is not something that I would be totally interested in. Also, for the sake of time, for the sake of patience, might as well hit things you really want to talk about and things you really are passionate about. You don't want to waste time on things you're not really passionate or you're not really interested in. So that's what we're going to do here on Chasing Labels tonight. But before we get into that, it's been a pretty busy last 2 weeks here for me when it's come to adding things to my collection. First of all, for those of you who've been keeping up with I guess the world of movie releases and collecting and things like that, a lot of sales have been going on. I mentioned it last time. I mentioned it recently on another episode of a show we do here, Movies Down Memory Lane, as well as our Unwatched Pile episode. It is the summer movie sale season for so many different labels and brands and companies and whatnot. As of right now, there is the 50% off Criterion Collection sale that goes on at Barnes and Noble every single summer. It usually starts in late June and goes throughout the month of July. And it did, it did. It started on the last Friday of June. I think that was the 27th, and then it's been going on now for the last is that a week and a half, 2 weeks almost. And yeah, I went to my local Barnes and Noble, the store I always go to every single time the sale comes around, and I picked up 11 things, so I might as well jump into that now. The other sales that are going on, there is a Radiant sale, so I got a bunch of Radiance titles I want to talk about briefly, and I also what else is what other sales are going on? Uh-oh, dropping things already. So there is like I said, there was a Radiant sale that was going on at both Barnes and Noble as well as the radiance.co.uk website, which has ended now. So that's ended. But I'm not sure if the one over at Barnes and Noble is still going on. I should probably check up on that. But the one, but what other sale is going on? Oh, there's a Kino sale. Yeah, there's a Kino. There's a Kino sale over on their website. It's their summer sale. They seem to have seasonal sales going on there all the time. So I haven't even looked at that yet. So that's happening. There's a buy two get one free sale that's currently going on at Target. That's going on until July 12th, and that's on things like books and video games, Funko Pops, movies, of course. Not a big selection of movies over at Target.com lately. Certainly, their stores don't have anything anymore. But if you want to check out there, also Amazon is doing that same sale. So if you want to go there and check that out, please go right ahead and do that. Just want to give people options and whatnot. But yeah, so Criterion sale stuff. Picked up 11 titles. The video that I usually do for the sale is coming. I have all the footage shot. I just have to upload it and edit it. But over the last week, I've pretty much just been watching movies nonstop in preparing for this episode. So I've had no time or energy to do that, but it is coming. But I figured I would show you what I got now, a little preview of the video of me going inside my local store. So here we go. A couple of Janus contemporary titles. I have No Bears and I have EO. These were, I think, part of the first wave of Janus titles. So Janus contemporary label, sub-label, whatever you want to call it, imprint of Criterion is no more. So they have officially changed now to Criterion Premieres. So the Janus Contemporaries line will be changing from Janus Contemporaries to Criterion Premieres. A little confusing, I know, because these aren't really kind of like official Criterion titles. These are just titles that are made by the Criterion Company. And the reason being why they're not, I would say, officially Criterion titles is they don't get the treatment that a Criterion release typically gets. Usually there's only like one or two special features on here, maybe. Sometimes there aren't any. So these genius contemporary titles are pretty much just giving us these modern day amazing films. These really are amazing films that are getting physical media releases. So I got No Bears, I got EO because I want to start kind of fleshing out that little imprint of Criterion. Then I picked up the Abbas Kiarostami film The Wind Will Carry Us. I'm a big fan of Abbas Kiarostami. I have a section of his in my collection. He was an amazing filmmaker. I can't say that enough. Close Up is a beautiful movie. Um, yeah, it's just like check out his work if you haven't already. I kind of discovered him just based off of people talking about how good Close Up was. So I went and saw his film. I went and saw that film plus I think it's A Taste of Honey or is it A Taste of Cherry? Let me look actually. Because they're two different movies. They are very much two different movies. So let's see. Yeah, A Taste of Cherry. A Taste of Cherry is the Abbas Kiarostami film. That film is extraordinary. So I had to get The Wind Will Carry Us. And then next is a Joan Micklin Silver film. That is Crossing Delancey. I was so just enamored the fact that they were able to release Crossing Delancey because when they released Chilly Scenes of Winter, I was just like, okay, we're getting a Joan Micklin Silver film. Perhaps we will get another. And I hope the other is Crossing Delancey because Crossing Delancey didn't even have a Blu-ray release. This would be its Blu-ray premiere, its HD premiere. This is the 4K UHD of Crossing Delancey. This is a great film. This is an excellent film. Joe Micklin Silver, I think a lot of people are discovering her work, unfortunately, after she has passed. I know I'm one of them, so I'm definitely guilty of that. But check out Joan Micklin Silver's work because this movie's great. Another movie here that I'm pretty sure many of you are aware of, and that is the Danny Boyle film Train Spotting. This is the 4K UHD release, and this came out a couple of years ago. It was a hot seller when it was released, and it's been a feature of a lot of people picking this up every time the sale comes around, or every time there's a flash sale on the Criterion website. So the big old controversy with this is, as you can see, it's not quite a conventional package when it comes to this. They tried to go a little off book. Well, they went way off book with this, and I think they've since repackaged this in a more traditional, Blu-ray style packaging that you're used to seeing with Criterion, the clear casing and all of that. But this package here is indeed a little bit problematic. So, as you can see, thin pack here. And the way in which it opens is, as you can see here on the back, there's a little fold-in indent over here. It looks like it's torn because it is actually, and that's just the way it comes. So there's a little indent tear here, um, and it's really kind of annoying. So you pull it out here ever so gently because you don't want to tear it further. Let me do it here. Actually, there it goes. It opens here. You see um character here, and then it folds out similar to the way in which the fold out package occurred with Citizen Kane. As you can see, the discs are in these two kind of sleeve packagings, which has got to be my least favorite kind of packaging. So the discs come out like so. You have the 4K, you have the Blu-ray. There's a booklet in here as well, which is also buried in some type of fold. So you got to like kind of dig it out. I appreciate the ambition, the execution, not so much. Not so much. Um, yeah, it's a little wonky. Needless to say, I won't be, as it is, I can't even get the booklet back in. So, needless to say, I won't be, maneuvering it too much because I'm afraid this thing's gonna fall apart on me. I'm afraid it's gonna tear. As you see, there's a back and the front. For those of you listening on the audio, this is not really helpful at all. But all I can say is go over to the YouTube if you haven't already to give this little segment of view, and then you just kind of fold it back up and reinsert the little flap here into this torn area here, which is frightening the daylights out of me. Um, and there it goes. As it is, I was struggling with it to be ever so gentle. Um, yeah, so it's interesting. Not really functional, but interesting. And I got it just for the sake of having it as more of like a collector's item type of thing. But moving on, 4K UHD of the Big Heat. Now this is classic film noir 101. There's Double Indemnity, there's The Maltese Falcon, there's a couple of other movies, but this right here, The Big Heat, starring Glenn Ford, Gloria Graham, directed by the great Fritz Lang. This has been released on Blu-ray and DVD a couple of times. There were two Blu-ray releases from the now defunct Twilight Time. I have one of the Twilight Time releases of this, but this is the 4K UHD release. This is from new 4K digital restorations. This is going to look amazing. Beautiful black and white cinematography. Just gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. 2-disc edition. I talked about all of these when they were announced, but it's nice to have them, in person. Next, Stephen Frears, The Grifter. I think Stephen Frears is just one of our most underrated directors, in my opinion. He did a few films that are actually in the Criterion Collection. He did My Beautiful Laundrette, which I bought last sale. He also did The Hit, which is a super underrated movie. If you've never seen Stephen Frears' movie The Hit, check that movie out. This film here is produced by Martin Scorsese, starring John Cusack, Angelica Houston, and Annette Bening. This is a 90s neo-noir. Actually, yes. Hold on. So there are some comments here. Our friend Humboldt Horror Honey targeted some radiance and indicator stuff. Really, I didn't even look. I was actually looking at comic book stuff earlier on there just to see the price comparisons with Amazon to see what type of deals that can be had. So I didn't even check out the movies over at Target. But I did not know that Target had some on their website of radiance and indicator stuff. I know that Barnes & Noble has that now. They have it on their website and in their store. I've been telling people that too, because that was a revelation to me when I went into my Barnes & Noble and saw indicator and radiance titles. I was in shock. Just in shock. Also, Humboldt Horror Honey says, Andrew, do you still have DVDs or do you sell stuff after you upgrade? I'm going through all my DVDs purging. So I still have DVDs in my collection on my shelves. You can possibly see some behind me. Probably can't, not at this angle, but some movies I either haven't upgraded yet, or some movies do not have Blu-ray upgrades yet. And I'm kind of waiting to see whether we're going to get them or whether they're going to be, we're going to get 4Ks of them at some point. Just off the top of my head, what do I have? That's a DVD. Oh, actually, there's a couple of here. So Shattered Glass actually just got a Blu-ray release from Imprint. So that's something I can upgrade. Let's see. Here we go. Perfectly. Right behind me. This movie does not have a Blu-ray release right now. It is such an underrated movie. It's called The Station Agent. It's The Station Agent. It is directed by Tom McCarthy, who did the movie Spotlight. And Tom McCarthy has not directed a lot of things. He's actually acted more than he's directed. But this stars Patricia Clarkson is in it. And who else is in this movie? Peter Dinklage is in the film as well. We also have Michelle Williams, I remember being in the movie. Bobby Cannavale, as you can see here on the front. So this movie does not have a Blu-ray release yet. The reason being is you can probably see up here, maybe you can, that is a Miramax icon, symbol, insignia, whatever you want to call it. So the Miramax catalog, like I've said a bunch of times, is in a bunch of different places. Not really actually in a bunch of different places. Paramount actually owns a lot of the Miramax catalog right now. So I'm hoping what that means is that we will get a lot of Miramax stuff that has not seen Blu-ray releases, or if they did, they were really bad Blu-ray releases. Um, and hopefully that will happen someday. So basically, I kind of keep a lot of the DVDs on my shelves as also placeholders to remind me that I need to upgrade them. I'm just looking over here at my comedy section, and for example, Scary Movie. Like I need a Blu-ray of Scary Movie, Half Baked. There's a couple other ones here. Man of the Year, the Robin Williams film. I need to upgrade that. So I understand what you're saying. And what do I do with my DVDs after that? I kind of just keep. I set them aside, and I kind of just keep them there. Unfortunately, I think we've reached a point in the collector's world and the home media world where DVDs aren't worth anything anymore. Um, but at least they're worth like pennies now. Some are worth like, 10 to 25 cents now. They're not DVDs are not really worth as much unless they're rare, DVDs, rare special collector's editions, stuff like that, or even movies that are out of print, things like that. But most DVDs are worth so little now that you're better off keeping them. So if you have space for that, then yeah, I would suggest keeping them. But everybody does their own thing. Speaking of something that I just upgraded from DVD, is the Anthony Mann film Winchester 73. Winchester 73 being a collaboration between Jimmy Stewart and Anthony Mann, a winning combination, in my opinion. And I've been wanting to upgrade this for so many years. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this to get upgraded from DVD, and it finally did. It finally did, and I have it now, so I can swap out my DVD and put this in its place over in my Anthony Mann section. Some other stuff here. I've got the 4K UHD release of Killer of Sheep. Now, this is a film by a director who's getting a lot more a buzz right now. Not buzz, but people are talking about him more, especially amongst cinephiles, and that is Charles Burnett. Charles Burnett, who did the movie To Sleep with Anger, I believe, was another Criterion that got released. Another one of his films, and there was a nice collection of his movies on the Criterion channel on the Criterion channel, and most of them were like his short films and stuff like that. So I went through and watched a bunch of those. But To Sleep with Anger and Killer of Sheep are two of his features. A fascinating director making very interesting introspective work, and this movie is no exception to that. It came out in 1977, 80 minutes long. Really good movie, really good movie. This is a recent release too. So I definitely had to pick that up. Next is a movie that something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is Godzilla. And this is Godzilla vs. Biollante, the 4K UHD release, another hot seller from this year. I know this was selling like crazy at the flash sale back in, was it February, March? Somewhere around there, who knows. And this is one of the films in the second era of Godzilla. This is from the Heisei era. The Godzilla eras of Japanese cinema are split up. You have the Showa era, which is the original stuff. That's from his original Gojira 1954, all the way up to the mid to late 70s. That's the Showa era. The Showa set, the Criterion put out, all the movies are in there. And next you have the Heisei era, which starts with, I think was it Godzilla 1984? And then I think you have Godzilla vs. Biollante. I have to go and actually look all that up. But I kind of wish they would have put all these in a box set similar to what they did with the Showa era stuff. My hope is that they don't, release all of these and then decide to put it in a box set. That would annoy me. That would so annoy me. But Godzilla vs. Biollante, I love a good kaiju. I love Godzilla so much. I'm trying to get all of the Godzilla films from all the different eras, so I'm making my way through all of that. This has already been released on Blu-ray, on a Blu-ray that came out years ago that went out of print and was going for big bucks on eBay. And then this was announced. And this one blows away that release. In picture quality, obviously, because 4K versus old Blu-ray. But last but certainly not least is another Blu-ray to 4K upgrade, and this is William Friedkin's Sorcerer. Now this is another hot seller for this sale, because not only the passing of the late great William Friedkin, and kind of him being a great filmmaker of iconic films as like The French Connection, as well as The Exorcist, as and you know just being very active when it comes to talking about movies and movie history. That's what I appreciate a lot about him. He had a lot to say. He had a lot to say, but his movie Sorcerer has gotten a big time reappraisal over the last many years. It is a readaptation of the book The Wages of Fear, which was adapted by Georges was Clouzot, which has a Criterion Blu-ray and 4K release now. That's something I have to upgrade. I'm going to be going back to the sale sometime soon, and they had a bunch of copies of that, but I held off because I know I can get it before the sale ends. But Wages of Fear, the Clouzot film, I think is one of the greatest films ever made. Like, full stop. One of the greatest films ever made. And William Friedkin decided to readapt that book, and the movie was not received well at all at the time that it came out. And like I said, it's been reappraised over the years now to be considered kind of a classic, in my opinion. Really good film. I can't wait to rewatch it in 4K. I haven't seen it in several years. I have the old Warner Brothers Blu-ray, which came in a digibook style, and so that this is going to be an upgrade from that, because I think that came out in like 2011. So I've got all of these here. Speaking of Radiance and whatnot, I guess we'll talk about a little Radiance now. This is going on a little longer than I wanted, but whatever. We're talking about movies here. I can make up the time later on during the show, during the announcements. Let's see. By the way, so some of actually my main priority when it came to the Radiant sale was to keep tabs on what was going out of print, on what was selling out on the Radiance website, and what they were saying that the copies are getting low, things are going out of print. They did a pretty good job of sending us emails. If you go to their website and sign up for like their newsletter and stuff like that, they're pretty informative with telling you, hey, 95% of this title is sold out, 99% of this title is sold out. Even on their social media, they were like, we have 10 copies left of this, buy yours now. But there's still some I gotta go and actually look at. But things that I bought were a combination of stuff I got after, like, yeah, after my birthday with some birthday money and whatnot. Some were stuff that I just had to get because they were out of print. So let's go into them. All these titles I've talked about before at one point during the show. Goodbye and Amen. And then I've got a double feature here of Nomad, plus My Heart Is That Eternal Rose. Now, this is a very recent release. Like, I just talked about this on an episode this year. So this is a super duper recent release. Next, I have Sympathy for the Underdog. And then I have Shuzu River, which I think is an amazing movie. This movie's fantastic. This sold. I'm actually I'm both glad and happy that this sold out. I'm glad that people like the movie enough to buy it, but also upset that I had to pay like double to get it. So a little double-edged sword there. Another recent release is Tokujiro Lone Yakuza. I picked this up. I didn't think this was gonna sell out, but it did go out of print pretty fast. Another like more recent-esque release. Then another a release that actually came out their first year of existence back in 2023. And I've been trying to buy this for a while, and this has also been released in the US in Region A land by Vinegar Syndrome. And the Vinegar Syndrome had some different special features. This is the Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. Kind of a little like kind of B horror film from back in the 1960s, Italian horror film. So yeah, so I picked up all of those. Let's see, where can I put these so that I'll just move these over here. I'll grab this while I'm here too. So an Arrow release that I got was Dark City, the Alex Proyas 1998 neo-noir. This is a 2-disc edition. It's got the director's cut, the theatrical cut. This is a 4K release. This movie desperately needed some type of remastered re-release, and I'm glad that it did because I think it's underrated. I think it's super underrated. It's a movie starring an underrated actor and Rufus Sewell. Um, Kiefer Sutherland's in this film as well. Um, Jennifer Connelly? Yes. So in my opinion, it's also written by David Goyer. Yeah, David Goyer wrote the screenplay for Batman Begins, and I think he wrote the story for The Dark Knight. I think it was Christopher Nolan's brother who wrote the screenplay for The Dark Knight. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to put this in and see how it looks. Yet again, another release collaboration. Well, not collaboration, but a release from the licensing deal that Arrow has with Warner Brothers. There's a little Warner Brothers logo here. So that is pretty awesome. This sold out, not sold out, but this was selling very, very fast when it was released. And last here is just a group of horror films that I bought on a Whatnot auction. If you're interested, check out Whatnot, the Whatnot app. There's some auctions where you can find some things to flesh out your collection for pretty decent amounts, a pretty decent amount of cash, like cheap stuff. It kind of reminds me of what eBay's supposed to be, just a little more fun because you can see a live stream of the quality of the item, so therefore you know what you're buying as opposed to eBay, which can be rather sketchy. I'll be honest, I've been buying on eBay since, oh goodness, the mid 2000s, and there have been a handful of times where I buy something that has pictures and everything, and even what I get in person is not what the pictures showed on the listing on eBay. So with Whatnot, it's nice to see like live auctions where you can see the items. So some stuff that I picked up here is Event Horizon, the Paul W.S. Anderson film. Now, this is the special edition Scream Factory release. And the reason why I bought this over the 4K edition from Paramount is the 4K edition from Paramount doesn't have the special features that this has. Don't know why. I may have showed these off last time. If I did, I apologize. Um, but next is David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. This is a Cronenberg film that I've never owned. I've seen it, but I've never owned it. And I've always wanted to get this edition from Scream Factory with the slipcover. And the slipcover has always been kind of hard to find. Pick that up. A little bit of some older horror here is The Body Snatcher with Boris Karloff. Now, this is a Val Lewton produced film. Um, it just Yeah, this is a Val Lewton produced film directed by Robert Wise, produced at RKO, I believe. And I've been trying to get all of the Val Lewton like produced horror films from like the 40s and 50s, and there's a couple more I still need to get. But The Body Snatcher is one of them. I think I still need to get The Leopard Man. The Leopard Man is one I still need to get. This movie, I'm pretty sure many of you know. Old, the M. Night Shyamalan film. I figured I might as well get it. I got it for cheap. So, it's not my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film. I don't dismiss it entirely, but it's okay. To me, it's okay. I like the concept. The execution is a little wonky. I don't know what it is with M. Night Shyamalan in writing dialogue. He That's when he loses me. Like, his concepts are great, but, like, the dialogue is just not there. I don't know why. But anywho, I picked up Old. I have where is it? I must have put it somewhere. I do have Knock at the Cabin? And then actually his newest film is being shot currently in Rhode Island, where I live. He's shooting it down in like smaller towns down by the ocean. Um, but yeah, he's shooting his current film with Jake Gyllenhaal here in Rhode Island right now. And yeah, he's been here, I think, since early June. So I figured I might as well get more of his stuff. Next is another movie I'm pretty sure many of you know, and that is Toby Hooper's Poltergeist. This is the 4K UHD upgrade. I've had the Blu-ray for years, but I wanted to buy this when it came out, and it came out around the time I think stores were kind of open, not open because of the COVID pandemic, and I never got a chance to get it, and every time I found it, there was no slipcover or the slipcover was damaged. So this is pretty nice quality here. Um, yeah, so that's Poltergeist classic, Toby Hooper film from the 80s. Next up here is another film probably many of you are aware of, and that is Prince of Darkness, the John Carpenter film. I've never owned this movie, but I've been trying to slowly get all of John Carpenter's work over the years, and I knew I would have to get this eventually. I've seen it. Um, Starring Donald Pleasance, dealing with a what like an evil like devil worshipping cult or something like that. It's been a few years since I've seen it. And they're trying to open like a gateway. That's what I remember this movie being. There were a lot of those movies in the 80s where people were like in cults, like end of the world type cults trying to open up gateways to hell or some type of hell dimension or whatever the case may be. But this is the Scream Factory release of that. This has come out in a regular edition. This has come out in a steelbook edition. There's been a Blu-ray of this is a 4K. But I figured I'd pick this up. I've got a bunch of John Carpenter stuff. I'm hoping that we still get the John Carpenter Assault on Precinct 13 4K that I feel like was announced years ago now. I still see people like mentioning that on comment sections, and I'm like, yeah, where is that? I thought we would have gotten it by now, but hopefully it's still coming. Another comment we got here is from Humboldt Horror Honey. She says, "Just heard about Whatnot, gonna check it out." Yeah, I've been buying stuff on Whatnot since last year, mostly comic book stuff. A lot of people do comic book auctions on there. I don't have a big comic book collection. Well, it's a few at this point, it's a few hundred comics, so maybe it is a little big. But um I use it a lot to like fill in certain areas of my comic book collection. I use it to fill in certain areas of my movie collection. Like as I got like these were all stuff I've been wanting to buy. So I finally was able to get them. And like I said, it's a pretty cool concept, having live auctions. And typically, the sellers are really good. They ship fast, they're packaged well, all that kind of stuff. Um, so I've never had a problem at all. I've even started buying vinyl records on there. I just bought a couple of vinyl records, and I haven't bought records in years. Um, I bought I bought 2 albums from the band Heart. I bought the soundtrack for Blade Runner on vinyl, and I just bought Led Zeppelin 3, the album. I have Led Zeppelin 1 and 4, and I need to like fill in that little gap there of 2 and 3. So I was on it. I was on a live stream, and I asked the guy in the comment. I asked the guy, hosting it, saying, "Do you have any Led Zeppelin? I need Led Zeppelin 2 and 3." And he just so happened to have an original like Led Zeppelin 3 album from 1970, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll take it." I I now own like a 50-year-old Led Zeppelin album. That's kind of amazing to me. Led Zeppelin's always been one of my favorite bands. But now that we've talked about all of this stuff, we're a half an hour in here. Let's get to some actual things. So I just talked about Shout Factory and Scream Factory. I might as well get into their September announcements. So they announced their September slate of movies, or movie releases rather. So I'm going to bounce back and forth here between Blu-ray.com as well as their website. I don't know why this is the case, but Blu-ray.com will give us a list of all the movies, description of the movies, even tell us the release date of the movie, but they don't include the special features. So I have to go to the website of Shout Factory to do that. So let me list these off first, and then we'll get into some of the details about some of the things that I'm interested in. So we have the Oliver Stone film Salvador from 1986. Came out the same year as Platoon. The movie Momma, which is Andy Muschietti's, I believe, first film, his feature-length debut, produced by, or at least his name was on it, executive produced by Guillermo del Toro. This was done at the time where if you just look at go to IMDb, go to Guillermo del Toro, and go to his producing credits, and you will see throughout the 2010s, he put his name on so many different movies. It like every year, just movie after movie after movie, um, just to get a producing credit or maybe to promote the movie. So that's the movie Mama, starring Jessica Chastain. Um, what's his name is also in this movie. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones fame. Next, we have Samurai Resurrection. Now, this is going. I don't know if this is going to be part of their. No, it's not. It's not going to be part of their Hong Kong Cinema Classics line because the movie came out in 2003. So I don't think it falls in that vein, and I don't think it's produced by the same company. Um, it's not. Let's see what else we have here. They're re-releasing Halloween and Halloween 2 on Steelbook. The most re-released horror movies of all time have to be Evil Dead and the Halloween films. So let's see. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time is an anime film from 2006, and it's actually very good. It's very good. I watched it last night. I love anime, Japanese anime. So I've been trying to collect a lot of Japanese anime over the last several years. I have a lot of Studio Ghibli films. Actually, there's another anime film, Grave of the Fireflies, is coming out this month on Blu-ray, getting a re-release from G Kids through Shout Factory, and I really want to get it. That's one of the most depressing, saddest movies I've ever seen, but I have to have it. Not to rewatch it, just to have it. You know what I mean? Another great animated movie is My Life as a Zucchini. This was a critically acclaimed film from several years ago, from 2016. A beautiful, beautiful movie. Um, yeah, I can't even explain how beautiful this movie is. I just remember loving it so much. Next and lastly here is Peking Opera Blues. Now, this is part of the Hong Kong Cinema Classics line from Shout. This is the Hong Kong Cinema Classics number 7. This is coming out, like I said, in September, and this is part of that big old plan of theirs to release a lot of those 80s Hong Kong films. Now, I'm holding out on these just to see what Arrow is going to do. As I mentioned several episodes ago, Arrow also has the rights to all of these movies, like Shout does. Well, I think Arrow actually got the rights from Shout. But, so we will see what unfolds there in terms of, quality, difference in releases. Difference in quality of releases, difference in special features, stuff like that. We don't know right now. All we know is that this summer, as of this month, Shout is going to start releasing these movies through their Hong Kong Cinema Classics line. They're going to start with a oh goodness, what are they going to start with? They're starting with a box set. I know that, and it's going to be let's see. Of course, that's No Help, Hong Kong Cinema Classics. So it's going to be, why can't I remember his name? Let's see. Is it going to be a Chow Yun Fat box set? No, because I know the Ringo Lam film is coming out next month. And that will be City on Fire is coming out next month. Why can't I remember his name? He was in the movie Once Upon a Time in China. Let me see. Let me look up. Once Upon a Time in China. I actually have the box set over here on my table. Jet Li. So I could not remember Jet Li's name to save my life. Yeah, there's gonna be a Jet Li box set, I believe, that's coming on. That will kick off their Hong Kong Cinema Classics line and all that stuff. Oh, really? I'm so jealous. So Humboldt Horror Honey says Heart was my first concert. I'm incredibly jealous because I have not seen Heart, but I've been a fan of Heart like my whole life, and I know they're touring. Yeah, I think they're touring now. Or they were touring, and I know the lead singers just went through a battle with cancer, um, and they're battling back from that. But I've always been a big fan of Heart. I Yeah, that album's pretty amazing. So I got like their 2 of their earlier albums. Um, it's great stuff. Great stuff. I've seen a bunch. It's crazy. I've seen a bunch of classic bands and musicians in concert, but it's always the ones you haven't seen are the ones you think about the most. You know what I'm saying? Um, Yeah, so I've seen Aerosmith, I've seen Lenny Kravitz, um, who else have I seen that's classic? I've seen Guns N' Roses 3 times, um, I've seen Alice in Chains, um, gee, I've seen maybe not a classic, but Godsmack I wouldn't consider classic, but, yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, thank you, Humboldt. There must be a little bit of a delay, but yes, Jet Li. That was exactly who I was thinking of. Um, but let's see. So I just went through all of those movies. Let me go check out some of the special features for some of these. Let's go back up to the top with Salvador. So Salvador is, like I said, an Oliver Stone film from 1986. As you can imagine, um, it is incredibly political. Oliver Stone and politics, they kind of go hand in hand. He's never shy about his politics throughout his entire career, and this film is no exception. Um, let's see. Academy Award winning writer director Oliver Stone delivers an exhilarating look at the Salvadorian Revolution through the eyes of two Americans, the sometimes journalist Richard Boyle, portrayed by James Woods, a man in love with the country and with the beautiful Maria, and his bewildered pal, Dr. Rock, who's portrayed by Jim Belushi. A man along for a ride he has no hope of understanding. Stone's screenplay, co written with the real life Boyle, was also nominated for an Academy Award thanks to its clear eyed acknowledgement of American complicity in a war against a genuine peasant revolt. So, a lot of politics going on in this movie, a lot of political commentary, a lot of political themes, based on real life story, based on a real life event, based on a real life person, and also co-written by the person who the movie is about. And I think James Woods was nominated for an Oscar for it. I think, um, and yeah, it's a very, very political film dealing with something that I don't think a lot of people know of, which is the Salvadorian Revolution in the 1980s. Who started in the late 70s and went all the way up, I think, until the early 90s. I want to say 1991, and it it's the movie is not, you know, it's not it's not an easy watch because you're dealing with a lot of, like human suffering and oppression and, innocent people getting caught up in this revolution and all of that kind of stuff. And you're kind of seeing it through the eyes of this photojournalist or this journalist portrayed by James Woods, who I think does a pretty good job in the movie. I think he's actually rather good in the film. It's a more serious role for James Woods, but he's got some lighter comedy in it, especially early on. He and the back and forth between he and Jim Belushi is kind of funny. Jim Belushi in the movie is kind of going along on this wild ride, and it movie gets very serious, as you can imagine, being in a revolutionary, country, or a country that's in the middle of a revolution or in the middle of a civil war. But for special features, the new 4K restoration from the original camera negative, supervised and approved by Oliver Stone. Let's see, there's an audio commentary with Oliver Stone, and there is a new interview with Oliver Stone, a new interview with James Woods, a new interview with John Savage, a new interview with Michael Murphy, a new interview with Tony Piana, new interview with costume designer Catherine Morrison, new interview with prosthetic makeup artist Gordon J. Smith, Into the Valley of Death, The Making of Salvador, and some deleted scenes, a 2-disc edition, 4K, and a Blu-ray. This is something that definitely I'm interested in. I have like a lot of other Oliver Stone films, so this one I have to add to the collection. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what else we've got here in terms of what we're looking at. Let me take a look at the Momma special features. I'm just curious because Momma's been out on Blu-ray for many, many years. I believe through Universal. Let me see. Was it? Yeah, it is Universal. So the story of Momma, it's a horror story dealing with, a ghost that's still lingering around. A ghost that's still lingering around that is kind of taken, not possession of, but is kind of warding over these two young orphaned girls. and the people who take them in now are affected by this. I'm being a little cagey about it because there is a mystery and whatnot. I want to keep that a little close, a little under wraps. I'm pretty sure many of you have seen it. The movie's been around since 2013. I remember a lot of people talking about it when it came out. I remember a lot of reviews for it. I just have never seen it. And of course, Andy Muschietti went on to, he did It and It Chapter 2. So he went on to do other things after that. But this was kind of the movie that I think, set him up for later successes, if you will. Like I said, starring Nicholas Coster-Waldau, Jessica Chastain as well, who of course would then go on, I believe, to be in It Chapter 2. I have those movies actually. But new 2024 4K restoration. Okay. We got, a movie that is 12 years old getting a new 4K restoration. Okay. Let's see. We've got audio commentary with director, co-writer Andy Muschietti and producer, co-writer Barbara Muschietti. The disc 2, we have a new interview with producer J. Miles Dale. New interview with director of photography Antonio Riestra. New interview with costume designer Louis Sequeira. And new interview with production designer Anastasia Massaro. Original short with introduction by Guillermo del Toro. That's really cool. Anytime you get him talking about movies, that's a win for me. Then you have The Birth of Momma. So obviously, I'm assuming some of these are carryover special features, but anything here that says new is new. I'm assuming the audio commentary is the old one too. That's my guess. But like I said, 2-disc edition for Momma. For those of you who are horror enthusiasts, hey, why not? Let's see what else we've got here. Let me go back over to what I was looking at. Let's see. So Samurai Resurrection, I feel, has already been released. Am I crazy for thinking that? Hold on for 1 second here. For some reason, my computer is not plugged in. Oh, here we go. So I literally just looked at my battery and it said 9%. And I'm like, there's no way. I always keep my computer plugged in when I'm streaming, always. What happened is the cable wasn't pushed all the way into the power brick. There you go. So make sure to always check to see if your computer is indeed charging while you're streaming, because this would have been a catastrophe. I'll say this: the streaming and stuff like that definitely sucks the life out of your battery, both figuratively and literally. But glad I got that remedied. Let me see. What was I looking? Oh yeah, Samurai Resurrection, which I don't even know. Let me see. I don't see it on the main page. Oh, here it is. So I don't know anything about Samurai Resurrection. Let me read a little something here. So 37,000 peasants perished in the Shimabara revolt, among them the leader of that uprising, Shiro Amakusa. More than a decade later, Amakusa rises from the dead, hell-bent on revenge. Okay, I'm interested already. Resurrecting a ghastly army of living dead master swordsmen by way of an occult art called Makai Tensho, or demonic transmigration. That sounds even cooler. He sets his sights on overthrowing the shogunate. Standing in their way is legendary samurai Jubei Yaguyu, who will have to fight the reincarnation of his own father before the fierce final confrontation with Shiro Amakusa himself. Came out in 2003. It's a Japanese film. Nothing in the way of special features, which is kind of okay because the movie sounds cool enough to me. But let me go back. I do want to see what the special features are on a couple of these others. For example, My Life as a Zucchini. Why not? Let's take a look at My Life as a Zucchini. So My Life as a Zucchini. After the sudden loss of his mother, Zucchini has to move into a foster home. At first, he struggles to find his place, but with the help of Raymond, a kind adult, Zucchini soon discovers a deep bond with the other kids. As Zucchini learns to trust and love, he starts to hope for a family of his own. Like I said, it's a beautiful, beautiful, wholesome, heartfelt movie. Um, yeah, I loved it when it came out. So I think these are just the same special features that were on the original release when the movie came out. You have the making of My Life as a Zucchini, a genie in a tin of ravioli short film. That is it. But it's getting a re-release through the G Kids line and whatnot. So if you didn't get the original release, you can pick this one up. Um, and let me go over to, let's see, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, because I am fascinated about this movie. So, Makoto is a typical teenage girl who spends most of her days slacking off with friends. One day, while rushing to meet her aunt, she nearly gets hit by a train, but at the last second finds herself jumping backwards through time to avoid the accident. She immediately makes use of her newfound ability to redo every minor inconvenience, from poor exam results to awkward confessions of love. However, when faced with the consequences of tampering with time, Makoto must do everything she can to avoid a dire future that can't be reversed. Okay, so that is genuinely what the movie is about. So you're dealing with this concept of time, which you know I love. If you've been listening to the show long enough or watching the show long enough, you know that I am a big fan of time, time travel, the concept of time in general, us living through time constantly, all this kind of stuff. Me and Christopher Nolan are clearly best friends because we are obsessed with time. But this movie is dealing with time in the sense of it's playing on something that I've always kind of thought of. Like, if you went back in time, would you change things? And by changing things, how would it affect other things? We have the butterfly effect. This movie doesn't quite play with the butterfly effect, in the general sense, but it is playing with this idea of, like, you can't change every single detail in life. You know what I'm saying? You can't change, like, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I should have went to bed earlier last night. Going back to change something like that. This was like the bad results of a surprise test. You know what I mean? At school. Little things like that. Not like big massive things, like preventing an assassination or all this kind of stuff, or preventing a natural disaster, but the small things in life. This idea of changing those. And how many times are you going to do that? You know what I mean? You're going to do it for every single one. Are you going to do it for some? I like kind of this concept of that idea because as life goes on, the small things just kind of fade sometimes. You know what I mean? They may be big in the moment, especially at this age of being a teenager. You think everything is a massive thing. You know what I mean? But when you look back on it as an adult, you realize it really didn't matter. That's the one thing you learn about getting older. I say this, um, I say this all the time, is that um, it's streaming, this kind of stream of consciousness. The older I get, the more you become reflective on your younger self, and you realize all the kind of the dumb things you do. But not only the dumb things you do, but the things you're worried about were not things you should have been worried about at the time. All this kind of stuff. But hindsight is 2020. So I really liked this movie and kind of what it was doing. Also, it had kind of the old school hand drawn animation that you've seen through Japanese animation that I really, really like. Not a lot of this kind of newer, like 3D type of stuff, which is fine. The evolution of the technology and the evolution of the art form is what it is. But I like kind of the old school, 2000s and earlier style. Let's see what else we've got here. Let's see some comments here. Not to interrupt, but love to know from the other physical media collectors, what are your go-to discs to test new components, i.e., TVs, stereo, etc. Well, it kind of all depends on the setup you got. It really does. So, when it comes to, I guess, testing out your say you got a new 4K television, you want to test out the picture quality. Obviously, you go with something that's a new release disc, something that will definitely show the newer technology, because that will most likely have Dolby Vision or HDR10 or something like that. So I go with a more modern disc. Um, man, like even modern action stuff still looks very, very good in home video, regardless of quality of movie. Um, Ironically, you know what they used to show for 3D movies at like the store's display setup? They used to show the Michael Bay Transformers movies in 3D, and they would have the 3D glasses like set up, like stand set up, and you could look in and watch the movie through the 3D glasses, and that's what they used to show off 3D movies. You would think they would have shown Avatar at the time, but at the time, I don't think Avatar had a 3D release, and if it did, it was like an exclusive or something like that. This is just me going off on a tangent, but modern day movies probably look really, really good. Older movies, if you're a cinephile, that's when things get interesting for older movies because, for example, Jaws just had its 50th anniversary release. Watching Jaws in 4K at home looks amazing. Though some of that older stuff looks amazing with the new 4K restorations and things like that. But yet again, if you're a more modern viewer, that stuff may not look as good to you as it would look to like me or other cinephiles. So I stick with more modern stuff. I was gonna say Christopher Nolan, but even then, it would have to be something like Interstellar. Denis Villeneuve's, I think of Blade Runner 2049. That looks amazing. Um, off the top of my head, there's so many others. Yeah, like I said, any modern, like, I'm just looking around me to see if I have anything. Modern action stuff. Oh, it's even animation, 4K in animation looks fantastic. The Spider-Man, the Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse movies, I think look really, really good in 4K. Like, even though they're kind of mishing and mashing colors and forms and stuff like that, these movies look amazing in 4K. Also, Disney animation in 4K looks very good too. I'm thinking of Wally. Wally looks really good. Um, but when you want to test out surround sound systems, now you're getting into something else. Now I would definitely go with something like an action film, like Christopher Nolan, even something like Dunkirk to hear the bullets going by the beach shot. That's really really good. When I used to test out the systems using Point Break because of the ocean sounds when they were surfing. I used to test out like my older systems using the Point Break DVD. That's what I used to use. Or this is what I always tested out my DVD setups. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. That's what I used to use. And I would use that now too. Because the sound of that is so powerful, especially the opening sequence, the the battle, the Last Alliance battle. That's right at the beginning when they're fighting Sauron, the elves and men, and that sequence. That's what I would use because you've got the score pumping, you got the sound effects, you got the action shots, you got the bass in there. Every time Sauron swings, you hear the bass hit. Oh, I'm just going on a tangent now. I'm going on a tangent now. Um, um, yeah, that's what I used to use, and now I could use the 4K. Coincidentally, I know a lot of people, don't like the 4K, but I still do. Some other comments here: is he streaming somewhere else too? So I'm using StreamYard to stream. That's what we use here on Chasing Labels to as software to stream. And I think there's a little bit of a delay between me talking here on StreamYard and you getting it on YouTube. I don't know how much the delay is, if it's a few seconds, if it's a minute, or what the case may be. Um, but there must be a delay. Um, but let's see. Interstellar is my go-to. Makes sense. Um, Same here. Let's see. What do you watch on now? Player, screen, stereo, if any. So I have a TV. I have a 65-inch Sony TV. It's not an OLED TV. I always say this. I think it's a 9 boy. It may be like a 930G or 930H. I can't remember. I have to look that up. It's from a few years ago, but I got it right before the OLEDs went down in price. So when this TV that's currently in front of me, I'm pointing at it, you can't see it. Um, I got the model that was right below the OLEDs, the OLEDs. Basically, it was like the highest Sony mid-range was a certain price, and then the OLEDs were above $2,000 at the time. Now things have shifted. Now the OLEDs are down to where those mid-range prices were, and um, and now those mid-range prices have dropped a little bit. It's kind of the way it's gone. Um, and so I kind of, if I had waited a year or two, but I needed a new TV at the time, so whatever the case may be. I have a Sony 4K player. I have a region-free Sony Blu-ray player to play like the region-free Blu-rays and whatnot. Region-free 4K players do exist, but I always found it kind of irrelevant because 4K is region-free anyway. Most of them are, I should say. Most of 4K, most 4Ks are region free. Some are region locked, unfortunately. And you just got to be aware of that. Which ones are region locked, which ones aren't. I have a 5.1 stereo surround sound system. You can see that way. That's one of the speakers. I got another one over here. I've got two in front of me, one in the center, and a subwoofer. It's a small space. For those of you watching here on YouTube, it's a very small space I have down here in my basement. So it's very much all encompassing. You know what I mean? A 7.1 I wouldn't need it because of the space, and two, I would have to be hanging speakers up in the ceilings, and that would be a whole big project. As it is, fishing wires through the wall, back up and over to these speakers was a pain. Now they do have, and I'm going off on a tangent here. I need a spotter, but they do have um, wireless back speakers. They came out with those several years ago, um, but I always prefer things that are hardwired for the most part. Obviously, internet, Wi-Fi, you know, it's a little tougher, um, depending on where you have your router or modem in your home. But when it comes to speakers and players, I prefer things to be hardwired in. Um, yeah, so that's kind of my setup in a nutshell. Um, no, I never did Humboldt Horror Honey. So Humboldt Horror Honey asks the $1 million question: did you ever do a full video of your space? I have not, and it's been something I've been wanting to do for years. And right now, I am currently, as you can see behind me, these are newish shelves. They've been here for a couple of weeks. They've been here for actually for about a month now. I got them like right before my birthday, so about a month ago. So I'm currently moving things in my collection because I used to have stacks of movies up around me. So those stacks, I've been going through, organizing them by genres, and putting them where they need to be. You know what I mean? In the collection. So I'm slowly going through all of that, and I still have. You can't see it. I got stacks up next to me. Um, and then I'm also kind of still getting new stuff in as well. So now I'm having to decide, should I just put them in now? should I just put them in now while I'm organizing? Because I'm here. I might as well. Instead of having to, make space later on, I've got the space now. So I'm making those decisions. Um, so that's where I am. So maybe after I'm all done with that, I may do a collection overview, but it would still be a little bit of a mess because I still don't have enough room share. But I could do it in parts because I've got some like I'll do like box sets, and I could do drama, comedy. Maybe I could split it up like that, um, and then put them out in sequences. I've seen people do that before. Um, yeah, I may do that, but I haven't really done a full, never really done a full setup. I did one for my comic book collection a long time ago. That one, and my comic book collection is like tripled in size since. Um, and it's completely different now, actually. Still heavily Batman favored, but um, yeah. So let's get back to what we were talking about here. So I just talked about the girl who leapt through time. Special features for that were storyboards, commentary with the director and voice cast, and then storyboard commentary. So nothing really much in the way of that. The last but certainly not least here is Peking Opera Blues. I wanted to watch this movie. This movie has a really high rating on Letterboxd, and I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. I believe is it directed by the same director who did Once Upon a Time in China? I think it is. Um, so let's see, Bridget Lin, Cherry Chung, and Sally Yi light up the screen in the fast-paced and sparkling action comedy from Sui Hark, who did Once Upon a Time in China, Twin Dragons, and Double Team. Don't know why I threw that in there, but okay. In the aftermath of China's first democratic revolution, three high-spirited young women from very different backgrounds cross paths on a quest for liberation. Um, fate finds the three joining forces to discover their respective warriors within. Yeah, so this is a 4K UHD release, and I believe this is part of their Hong Kong Cinema Classics line number 7, coming out in September. We've got a 4K scan from the original camera negative. There is an audio commentary with film critic James Mudge. There is, let's see, the second disc has that same audio commentary and has some new stuff. An opus for Peking, starring in a Sui Heart classic, interview with actor Mark Chang. An operatic achievement, an interview with cinematographer Ray Wong. New Hong Kong Confidential, Inside Peking Opera Blues with author Grady Hendrix. New Peking Provocations, an interview with author and critic David West. Peking History Blues, Professor Lars Lehmann on the setting and time of a Sui Hark masterpiece. Archival interview with actor Sally Yi. Archival interview with composer James Wong. And that is it for this 2-disc edition of Peking Opera Blues. Like I said, I really want to see this movie. I almost watched it last night, but it was like 5 a.m. and I was like, I don't know if I have one more movie in me. It was 5 a.m. And I was like, I just don't have the energy. But let's see what's next here on my notes list. Let's see. So that was Shout Factory. That was their September releases of. Let's go over these one more time. Salvador, Momma, Samurai Resurrection, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, My Life as a Zucchini, and Peking Opera Blues. Let's see. Where did I whip it out? Yeah, let me go to Kino. Because Kino doesn't have much, surprisingly so. Maybe they're taking a little vacation because they're working on their sale. Their sale. Some of these are things we've already talked about, so please excuse me if this is all not new to any of you. So I know, for example, this movie straight up off the bat we've talked about before, The Lords of Discipline, coming out August 26th. It's a 4K UHD release, a 2-disc edition. Lords of Discipline is a riveting and suspenseful tale of human triumph. David Keith, who was in An Officer and a Gentleman, gives an intense performance as Will McLean, a fine, disciplined cadet whose uncompromising integrity leads him to defy and reject the rules of conduct that have shaped him. Okay. So it sounds like almost like A Few Good Men meets Serpico. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. But anywho, 2-disc edition, new audio commentary by film historian Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson, with Pat Conroy, historian Lynn Smith. That's on the first disc. On the second disc is an audio commentary, that same one actually, An Actor and a Gentleman, new interview with star David Keith. Films to Change the World, a new interview with director Frank Rodham. Okay, 40 minutes long. That's a long interview. And that is it. So that's coming out August 26th. Next, we've got something we've already talked about before, but we've got more details now. That is The Rundown with The Rock. Came out in 2003. Oh, who else is in this movie? Sean William Scott is in this movie as well. This was right around the time The Rock was transitioning from wrestling over to being an actor. I think before this, he was in The Mummy Returns as the Scorpion King, and I think the Scorpion King would come out after this, his own solo Scorpion King movie, but this was The Rundown. This is kind of an underrated, I think, 2000s action movie starring The Rock. So welcome to the jungle. Dwayne The Rock Johnson teams up with Sean William Scott for a wildly entertaining action adventure that Good Morning America's Joel Siegel raves is one of the year's biggest and most fun movies. Okay, we're throwing in old reviews here. Um, Dwayne Johnson is a bounty hunter sent into the treacherous jungles of the Amazon to bring back the rebellious Travis, portrayed by Sean William Scott, back to the States. When Beck and Travis reluctantly join forces to hunt down a priceless treasure, this unlikely team embarks on a pulse-pounding, non-stop thrill ride. Co-starring Rosario Dawson, John Grease, Ewan Bremner, and Christopher Walken, and directed by Peter Berg. I remember that. This was directed by Peter Berg. This is a 4K UHD release. This movie's been on DVD and Blu-ray for so many years. This movie is probably in so many people's collections. I had the DVD, I think, and I may have traded it in because it may have been like a full screen DVD. But the rundown special features here: audio commentary by director Peter Berg and Dwayne Johnson, audio commentary by producers Kevin Misher and Mark Abraham, and a third audio commentary by action film historian Mike Leader and filmmaker Matt Rutledge. Also, 3 audio commentaries on both discs. So that's on the 4K, same commentaries on the Blu-ray. And then you have Rumble in the Jungle, which is a featurette. The Amazon Hawaii style featurette, Appetite for Destruction featurette. A lot of Guns N' Roses puns here. The Rundown Uncensored, a rockumentary featurette. Running Down the Town featurette. Walken's World featurette. Deleted scenes, theatrical trailer. Yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. In 2003, I would have been 16. This was the perfect movie to see in the theater as a 16-year-old in 2003. Like that, this is that type of movie. This is also the type of movie that would play on cable TV on a Sunday afternoon as well. It would make its rounds on TNT or TBS or whatever other cable network there is, and just for the heck of it. Yeah. So that's the rundown with the one and only Rock Dwayne Johnson and Sean William Scott, Christopher Walken, who I think is the bad guy in the movie of all things. But he can do it all. He can do it all. Let's see what else. I know there's another Rock movie coming, so hold your horses on that. So let's see here. Oh, there's a box set of 4 films by Yves Boisset. Yves Boisset, I'm assuming a French filmmaker. I know nothing about these movies, so I'm just going to list off the movies, not spend too much time talking about them. We don't even have any details. Excuse me. It just says coming soon on Blu-ray. It's called Malfeasance, 4 films by Yves Boisset. Angel's Leap, which apparently stars Sterling Hayden. Okay. And yeah, we have Angel's Leap, Mad Enough to Kill, The Woman Cop, and then Rise Up Spy. Rise Up Spy, the music is by Ennio Morricone, which sounds pretty cool to me. But yeah, I know nothing about this. It just says Malfeasance, 4 films by Yves Boisset. And yeah, Angel's Leap, Mad Enough to Kill, The Woman Cop, and Rise Up Spy. So one of those hopefully relatively cheap Kino Lorber box sets. Usually they come in their own individual Blu-ray cases, and they're not that expensive. And the Blu-ray and the box, it's thin cardboard. I have a few of the film noir ones. I have a few of the actor or actor-centric sets as well. I have Ida Lupino. I have the Cary Grant box set. I have Carol Lombard volumes 1 and 2. I'm looking up at my box sets over there. So it's thin cardboard. I always say this. They probably use the thinnest cardboard. So even just like moving it, if you bump it, if you press down too hard on it, it's going to get indented. Goodness gracious, good luck buying it from Amazon, because I had to replace my Cary Grant box set twice because it came damaged. So that's like super unfortunate. So let's move on from there. We have this is a fun one from my childhood. Throw Momma from the Train from 1987. So obviously I was born in 1987, so I wasn't around when this movie came out. I saw this movie on VHS years later when I was about 3 or 4 years old, maybe around four-ish. And I remember seeing a little bit of it on TV. And then my parents went to Blockbuster or whatever the local video store was at the time. I think it was Major Video. And because Blockbuster hadn't taken over quite yet. This would have been early 90s. And they they rented Throw Mama from the Train because it had Danny DeVito, Billy Crystal, Anne Ramsey was in it. Oh goodness, Rob Reiner, Kate Mulgrew, and who directed? Yeah, directed by Danny DeVito. So this would have been after I had seen Twins, so I knew who Danny DeVito was. My introduction to Danny DeVito was Twins. My introduction to Arnold Schwarzenegger was Twins. I've said that here before. Um, so like I would so Danny DeVito, he's a pretty distinct guy. Even to this day, to be honest, he still looks the same as he did back in Throw Mama from the Train days. He just looks a little older. I love Danny DeVito. But Throw Mama from the Train, seeing this movie as like a 3, 4, 5 year old, I didn't know what the movie was. I just knew that it was a comedy about this guy who like wanted to get rid of his mom because his mom wouldn't stop bothering him. And that was my concept of the movie at the time. And you're a little kid, you want your parents to stop bothering you. You can relate to that. And and I had no idea that the movie is actually a remake or a take on Strangers on a Train, the Alfred Hitchcock movie. I had no idea. Like I said, I was 3, 4 years old. But the movie is very similar to Strangers on a Train. Um, and I know that now, so it makes the movie actually even better. Shot by Barry Sonnenfeld, who had shot Raising Arizona. Music by David Newman, who did the music for The Phantom. Let me just get a quick synopsis on here. I'm on IMDb right now, so might as well. If you've never seen Throw Mama from the Train, the movie is kind of exactly what the title suggests. So, a bitter writing teacher wants his successful ex-wife dead. A put-upon mama's boy writing student wants his overbearing mother dead. Will there be a crisscross murder plot? So that's the premise. Um, Billy Crystal is this writer, and he's got this ex-wife who he doesn't have a good relationship with, and he's teaching like I guess like a writing course or whatever at a school, probably at a community college, I'm guessing, or something like that. And one of his students is Danny DeVito, and Danny DeVito's got a problem with his mom. His mom is abusive, overbearing, and he's an adult who can't get out from under her shadow, whatever the case may be. So, are they going to basically eliminate each other's problems? That's the plot of Strangers on a Train. Um, and that's the plot of Throw Mama from the Train. Uh, Man, I never thought I'd live to see the day where this would be getting a Blu-ray release. I'll tell you that. We were talking earlier about movies that really only have DVD releases, and I think Throw Mama from the Train has only ever had a DVD release, um, and probably an older DVD release at that. But yeah, I was so happy when this got announced. It's actually getting a 4K release. Sorry, not only Blu-ray but 4K for Throw Mama from the Train. Oh, I hope we get a new special feature with Danny DeVito talking about it or Billy Crystal. Um, maybe like them talking to each other about like a little like interview retrospective, like kind of how they do with the Hollywood Roundtable of Actors. Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Um, but I don't want to hold out my hopes too high for that. Next, we've got the movie Boy is getting a 4K UHD release. So this is a 2010 film that was, I think, written, written, directed, and he's actually in the movie as well. Taika Waititi. Many of you know who Taika Waititi is now, obviously. Um, he's an Academy Award winning filmmaker, actually. So I think probably many people know who he is. But early on in his career, he was doing these very interesting independent films in New Zealand, where he's from. And he did this. Um, he did, what was it? What's the other movie he did? Eagle versus Shark as well. But before he kind of became the big time guy that people know him now. He did these, like I said, like lower budget indie films from that time. Let me see. Let me check some stuff here. So I'm checking his director credits. A lot of music videos here. Jojo Rabbit, of course, is what he won the Oscar for. He directed Thor Ragnarok as well as Thor Love and Thunder. He did What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows then had a TV adaptation, which is quite honestly was, because it's ended now, was one of my favorite TV shows of the last several years. What We Do in the Shadows is so great. Um, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He did Hunt for the Wilder People, which actually I was one of the few people who did a movie review for Hunt for the Wilder People when it came out, because I saw it in the theater actually. And then I did a review for it here on my YouTube channel at the time. So I did a movie reviews from about late 2016 all the way up to the end of 2019. I would do like weekly movie reviews, kind of like how everybody was doing at the time. It still does to this day. That's how kind of I started here on YouTube. And one of them was Hunt for the Wilder People. And I remember that because it was one of my most watched reviews. I didn't get a lot of reviews doing those. To be honest, that market is so overfilled with people. It's really hard to stand out in any way. It's really hard to do movie reviews now on YouTube and to get like a large audience, or not even a large audience, but a decent audience. Like I don't think any of my I think Hunt for the Wilder People was my most, like I said, my most biggest viewed one with I think I think maybe a couple of hundred views or something. It was nothing substantial. But a lot of those reviews never got past like 20 views or anything like that. Um but I remember Hunt for the Wilder People came out. Super underrated movie. It's always a movie that I kind of wanted to get to. I never added it to my collection. I forgot who put that out. Let's see. Hunt for the Wilder People. Let's see. It got a US release, got a release everywhere, actually. Oh, it was Sony Pictures. I think it's out of print now, actually, because it's going for an exorbitant amount of money on Amazon. So I have to maybe track that down. Um, yeah, starring Sam Neill, Reese Darby, Taika Waititi, Julian Dennison. I didn't realize that Sam Neill was from New Zealand until I saw that movie. And keep in mind, I saw Jurassic Park in the theater in 1993. And I saw Event Horizon when it came out as well. Well, I saw it on cable later. But I didn't know Sam Neill was from New Zealand. Because he never really used his accent in any of the movies I'd seen him in. I even remember him doing like commercials in like the 90s too and 2000s, and I never ever heard him use his accent. I just thought that was odd. I just thought that was odd. But anywho, Taika Waititi's film Boy is getting a release. Now they don't list any of the special features. It's just one of those coming soon type of deals. But Boy is about an 11-year-old child and devout Michael Jackson fan who lives on the east coast of New Zealand in 1984, gets a chance to know his absentee criminal father, who has returned to find a bag of money he buried years ago. I think his absentee father, like kind of crappy father, is portrayed by Taika Waititi. And so I don't know if this is like semi-autobiographical or anything like that, but it's a bit of a coming-of-age film. Really good. It's a really good film too. So is what I say, Eagle vs. Shark is also another one that I would recommend. If you're not into the whole, superhero thing and you know of Taika Waititi, you don't care about Thor, and you didn't really you don't want to watch his other movie, check out his earlier stuff in Eagle vs. Shark and Boy and Hunt for the Wilder People as well is another good one I would recommend for Taika Waititi. I know people are kind of like all burnt out on him now, I guess, but he still did some pretty good work. Let's see. Let's move past that. Oh, here's the other Rock movie, Walking Tall. Oh, 2004. So I saw this in the theater, Walking Tall. Had no idea it was a remake from a Joe Don Baker film from back in the day. But this stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Ashley Scott, Johnny Knoxville, Neil McDonough, Let's see, who directed this? Directed by Kevin Bray, who directed All About the Benjamins. Now, that's a movie you don't hear a lot about. So let's see. It's coming soon on 4K UHD. Nothing in the way of special features. So Walking Tall, um, like I said, it was an old um, Joe Don Baker film that they remade with The Rock. Yeah, it was a Joe Don Baker film from 1973, and they remade it with The Rock 30 years later. Yes. So, a former U.S. soldier returns to his hometown to find it overrun by crime and corruption, which prompts him to clean house. So you got The Rock being like a badass in there. Let's see. And that is it. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else I missed. I'm just checking my notes. Nope. 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 Yeah, like I said, not a lot from Kino this time around. Let's go. I just want to check the time. I may do this now. You know what? I'm going to do this now. I was going to wait until like the end to do this, but I think I'll save Arrow for the end. But just in case, I wanted to talk about Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels. But I didn't know if they were closing down their website tonight at midnight because they're finishing up their subscriber week sales and deals and announcements tonight. So I don't know if they're closing down their website at midnight in order to like fulfill like a lot of their sales and things like that, and to kind of reboot their site. So just so I don't know that, I will go to their site now and talk about their announcement, just because there were quite a lot, and midnight my time will be about an hour and a half from now. So I don't know what the deal is, but let's do that now. So I will do Vinegar Syndrome now, partner label stuff as well, and then we will talk about Umbrella and Arrow. And yeah, that'll be kind of it. But there's a lot to talk about here. I think there was like 22 partner label titles. So, like I said, they had their it was called their like Vinegar Syndrome, like Alien Invasion Summer Subscriber Week Extravaganza. Extravaganza. So if you remember, they had their halfway to Black Friday sale in May. They closed down they took all of their Vinegar Syndrome proper titles off. June was their partner label month, where all they had available was their partner label stuff. And then now they have their subscriber week stuff with all their stuff back, plus partner label daily deals, and all kinds of stuff. Actually, they had daily deals on their regular stuff too. So I want to make sure to mention all of that to you guys. Hopefully, you were paying attention and you saw a bunch of that stuff. If you didn't, sorry, it's, by this time you're probably listening or watching this, it's a little too late, but we will talk about this stuff nonetheless. So today, actually, they announced something that I am so happy about. Like, I'm pumped. Right off the bat here, Cinematograph actually had two announcements, but this one here is the one we are going to talk about right away. They are releasing the movie A New Leaf. This is the movie by Elaine May, and starring both her, Elaine May, and Walter Matthau. She directed and I believe wrote the film as well. Came out in 1971. I really like this movie a lot. Not only do I like this movie a lot, I'm so happy that it's getting another deluxe release. So this movie got an Olive signature release from Olive Films a couple of years ago. And I believe all of the special features from that release are getting transferred over to here except for one. So if you have the Olive signature release, you may kind of you may want to hold on to it because it does have one that this one doesn't. But if you don't have that release, like myself, who's never got it because procrastination is a thing and indifference is a thing, you have lucked out, because not only are you getting the movie, but you're getting the movie in 4K, and you're getting a really nice 2-disc deluxe edition too. So Elaine May's film, A New Leaf, great screenplay. Oh, it's such a good screenplay. The first feature film to be written and directed by a noted playwright and comedian, Elaine May. She did Mikey and Nikki, which I just watched for my birthday, which is available through the Criterion Collection on Blu-ray. That's a great film. I rewatched it. It's so good. Um, so she is, yeah. A New Leaf is a calling card of the highest order, showcasing May as a triple threat, like writing, acting, and directing. Um, so the movie is it's a romantic comedy, actually. So Henry Graham, Walter Matthau, a descendant of a wealthy New York family, has exhausted his inheritance, leaving him near penniless, much to the dismay of his uncle Harry, who refuses his request for a loan. Upon suggestion of his valet driver Harold, excuse me, and um, let's see, Henry devises a plot to marry a wealthy professor, Henrietta Lowell, played by writer-director Elaine May, and murder her, eh, becoming the beneficiary of her fortune. Along the way, Henry faces various obstacles, including unexpectedly falling in love. So, it's a dark comedy, needless to say, because obviously you have a bit of a dark, mischievous comedy here. Something in the same vein of, I don't know if you've ever seen Charlie Chaplin's film Monsieur Verdoux. Kind of a similar plot to that. Even something like Arsenic and Old Lace. A little bit of comedy of that variety as well, like dark, where you're mixing death and comedy, black comedy, all this kind of stuff. Um, oh, I love A New Leaf as well. Um, so our friend Humboldt Horror Honey says, I love A New Leaf too. Beautiful release. Yes. I saw this today just a couple of hours ago, and I had to add it to my notes I had to add it to my notes. Just because I needed to talk about it. Just it needs to happen. Because I'm so excited about it. Um and yeah, so it, like I said, dark comedy, funny, great screenplay. Um just yeah, damn, I can't believe this is happening. It's so great. Um, yeah, it's so good, and there's a bit of a backstory here. Go look it up. There's a backstory here about the version of the movie that we have is not exactly the movie that was originally intended to be. I believe it was supposed to be longer, but that version of the movie, I think, got lost in post. Not lost, but studio meddling. There you go. There's the elephant in the room. Studio meddling, I think, got involved and kind of really, like, truncated the version of the movie that we were supposed to get. Let's see. Let's see. Let me just read the rest of this. Yeah, Yeah, so it was adopted into the National Registry in Congress in 2019. A New Leaf is one of the great American comedy films of the 1970s and is often cited as the crowning achievement of May's illustrious, albeit often controversial career. Cinematograph is proud to present the World 4K UHD debut of Elaine May's romantic comedy masterpiece in a new restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. Um, Yes. So let me dive into what we've got here. I almost want to go in and hold on. I'm I'm getting sidetracked again. Please excuse me. So, because I want to make sure I was actually correct on what I was saying. Let's see. A New Leaf film from 1971. Just do a quick look see here. Um. Okay. So, oh, that's what happened. Okay. So I'm just reading this quickly here. After May would not show Paramount Pictures a rough cut of the film 10 months into editing, Robert Evans, who was the head of Paramount at the time, took away the film from her and recut it, although she had the right to approve the final cut in her contract. May's version was rumored to run 180 minutes and contain the um yeah, and contained like two plots. I don't want to give they reveal some plot stuff here. But and basically more plot in the movie. Evans shortened it to 102 minutes. Angered by the alterations, May tried to take her name off the film and unsuccessfully sued Paramount to keep it from being released. Okay, that's what I remember. It got taken away from her in post during the editing process, cut down to a version that is not her official version of the movie. Obviously, cutting a movie down from 180 minutes to 102 minutes, a lot is going to be lost. Now, I don't know what happened with all of that extra footage. If it is out there somewhere, and maybe we'll get we'll get a version of it eventually. If I wouldn't hold my breath. It's been, oh goodness, it's been 50 years. My goodness. It's been a while. Yeah. Yeah, it's been about 50 years. I would not hold my breath on that. Um, but the movie that we currently have is still very, very good, in my opinion, because it's kind of the only version we've seen. We don't really have the other version to compare it to. So let's get into what we have here. We have a 2-disc set, 4K UHD, Blu-ray, new audio commentary from film programmer, writer, and educator KJ Reef Miller and Maya Montañez Smuckler, author of Liberating Hollywood Women Directors and the Feminist Reform of 1970s American Cinema. That sounds fascinating to me. I really want that book. Um, uh, what is interesting about that, just as an aside here, as much as we glorify the 1970s American cinema period, not a lot of women were able to make films during that time. Um, just keep that in mind. Um, Director Jail, a new video interview with Carrie Corrigan, author of Miss May Does Not Exist, The Life and Work of Elaine May, Hollywood's Hidden Gem. Looking for Elaine May, a new video essay by Alexandra Heller Nicholas, our friend here, co-editor of Refocus, the films of Elaine May. Whatever that is, I want it. Elaine May and Mike Nichols in conversation, an hour-long post-screening discussion between Elaine May and her frequent collaborator, conducted at Film at Lincoln Center in 2006. That's fascinating. I forgot to mention that she and Mike Nichols collaborate a lot on a lot of things. Elaine May's a new Leaf 50th anniversary, an episode of Silverstream's podcast from the American Film Institute, featuring programmers of the AFI Silver Theater discussing May's film. The Cutting Room Floor, an archival interview with assistant editor Angelo Corral. I can't pronounce that. Women in Hollywood, a tragedy of comic proportions, and archival appreciation of Elaine May with filmmaker Amy Heckerling. Theatrical trailer, new text essays from Sarah Fensom, film critic Elena Lajic, queer historian and film critic Willow Caitlin McClay, and film critic and editor Hannah Strong, as well as previously published piece by film critic Richard Brody. Fold-out poster featuring new art by cartoonist Michael DeForge. And then you've got a book that comes with a book. It says Miss May Does Not Exist, the life and work of Elaine May, Hollywood's Hidden Gem hardcover book. So that book that I was talking about that I want, I think, yeah, the life and work of Elaine May, Hollywood's Hidden Genius. Yeah. So that book that I was talking about, written by Carrie Corrigan, is included here. All right. It's a riveting biography of Elaine May. So that in and of itself is worth it. You get a biography of her, you get the movie, you get all these special features. My goodness. This may be Cinematograph's best release. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that. I know they're up to what, like 30 releases now? 21 releases now? This may be my favorite of theirs. They put out some really good stuff. Yeah, so that is a new Leaf. I cannot wait for this release at all. Let's see what else we've got here. Let me exit out some of these. Okay, here we go. So next up here is Five Dead on the Crimson Canvas, which is getting released by Degausser Video. Let's see. The Nick Millard the Nick Millard Action Collection being released by VSA or Vinegar Syndrome Archive. Fire Maidens of Outer Space being released by Vinegar Syndrome Labs. Cinematograph's other release, We're No Angels. I'm going to talk about that. Let me just list off the rest of these. Mac and Me is getting a VSU release, Vinegar Syndrome Ultra. Man, the jokes just write themselves. Oh, man. Mac and Me. What a notorious ripoff of E.T. the Extraterrestrial that has remained in pop culture lexicon for many, many years. Most of it due to Paul Rudd. But next we've got The Rage Carry 2 getting released by Vinegar Syndrome in a 4K release. The Card Player getting a 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. I see what else we've got here. Young Gary, Monster from the Deep, getting a Vinegar Syndrome 4K release. Satan's Bed plus Scare Their Pants Off as Distripix release. Vinegar Syndrome Night Beast. So Night Beast is getting a re-release with a new slipcover and new artwork. It's the same movie they released several years ago. But if you want one if you just want the new slipcover, you can buy the new slipcover. If you don't own it and you want the movie with the new slipcover, you can buy that. Yeah, and then last here, also by Vinegar Syndrome, is Extra 3 Watch the Skies, which is also similar to Night Beast. Got a new slipcover. So you could buy the new slipcover just by itself, or you can buy the movie with the new slipcover and art, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't get to watch all of these, so that's why I kind of just going over these very, very briefly, and just for the sake of time. And if you're interested in any more details on anything we talk about here on Chasing Labels, you can go directly to these companies' websites, and they got all the stuff listed there. So, but some of the things I am passionate about here, definitely we're going to talk right now about We're No Angels. Why are we going to talk about We're No Angels? It's a movie that stars Robert De Niro and Sean Penn. Came out in 1989. It's directed by Neil Jordan, which is a name some of you may know. He directed The Crying Game, which came out a few years after this. That's probably what he's most known for. And this movie is a remake of the Michael Curtiz film of the same name. Similar premise, different setting and whatnot, but similar concept, I should say. So, Jim and Ned, who is Sean Penn and Robert De Niro, two ambling convicts imprisoned in upstate New York during the Great Depression, are forced to escape from prison when fellow inmate Bobby, portrayed by James Rousseau, pulls a gun during his electric chair execution, turning them into unwitting accomplices. Excuse me. With a taste of freedom, Jim and Ned end up in a small town near the Canadian border, mistaken for priests in the local monastery, with the law hindering an easy passage into Canada. The two hunker down in their newfound home, befriending the people of the town and finding faith in the process. One of the people that happens to be there is Demi Moore. Yeah, Demi Moore. John C. Reilly is like a young priest as well, who's kind of learning. Wallace Shawn is in the movie as well, I think, as a priest. Bruno Kirby is in the movie too. And what you got here is kind of like a bumbling buddy comedy with Robert De Niro and Sean Penn, of these two escaped convicts trying to figure out a way not to get caught and trying to get over the border to Canada. And they're impersonating priests. And it's kind of funny to see them bumble around and try to figure things out, trying to, escape and not get caught because the cops are now looking for them in this town. The movie's fine. I mean, you see Sean Penn, you see Robert De Niro, you automatically think, oh, this movie's going to be amazing because, it's got two of the most, well-known actors of the last, 45, 50 years. But it's not like super great. Some jokes are fun. Some jokes are not. It's fine. The movie's fine. Yeah. I mean, that may sound a little underwhelming, especially considering who's in it, but I think it's just fine. Let's see what we got here for special features. We've got, I think this is only a Blu-ray release. Yes, only a Blu-ray release. New audio commentary with historians Chris O'Neill and Bill Ackerman. So our buddy Chris O'Neill is on here. A club that already existed. A new video interview with director Neil Jordan. Yes, Neil Jordan is still around. I think he's still making movies too. The Right Elements, a new video interview with actor James Rousseau. We're No Angels, a comparison new video essay by film historian Sam Deegan comparing the 1955 and 1989 versions of We're No Angels. Archival interview with screenwriter David Mamet, moderated by Film Noir Foundation's Eddie Muller, recorded in 2020 at the Aero Theater. And then we got some new text essays by film writer Patrick Dahl, comic book writer Joshua Dessart, and entertainment journalist Matt Prig? Oh boy, I probably pronounced that wrong. But anywho, um, that is the movie or the release rather of Where No Angels with Robert De Niro and Sean Penn. Now, a couple of these other releases I do wanna talk about. Obviously, we'll do it right now. Mac and Me. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. So this movie is probably one of the worst movies ever made, but it is fun to watch. It's fun to watch in a certain context. It's fun to watch if you're going into it knowing that it is essentially a ripoff of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, just done in not a very good way. It is so bad, but so much fun to watch. I know Mystery Science Theater 3000 has done an episode on this movie, and yeah, it's that type of movie. It's so not great, but man, it's a lot of fun to watch. So when a family of telekinetic extraterrestrials dying on a parched planet are vacuumed into a NASA rover and transplanted to Earth, they inadvertently become literal illegal aliens on the run from the United States government. That's a little apropos for the modern political times. As his sister, mother, and father escape into the strangely familiar world of the surrounding desert, the youngest of the group becomes lost, eventually sneaking into the home of a wheelchair bound middle schooler named Eric. At first, unsure of what to make of the pint sized space creature, Eric and his older brother, Mike, are quickly smitten and name their new friend Mac, short for mysterious alien creature. While Mac adjusts quickly to life on Earth, soon gaining a love for popular soft drink brands and fast food restaurants, he remains desperate to reunite with his family. But when gun toting government agents track him down, Eric and Mike save Mac from capture and hit the road, hoping to help him find his family before it's too late. Um, yeah, you can see the ET parallels bursting at the seams here. You can see it. Even the whole younger older brother thing, they're trying to find, the alien trying to get home, all this kind of stuff. Um, yeah, it's a movie, man. It's a fun movie, but to get a VSU release is crazy to me. But also crazy fun, like awesome. Why not? Hell yeah. 2 disc set, 4K UHD, Region A Blu-ray, 4K UHD presented in Dolby Vision high dynamic range. Holy shit. Newly scanned and restored in 4K from its original 35 millimeter camera negative. Brand new commentary with co-writer, director Stuart Rafili, uh, no, Rafel and Jim Branscombe of Cinematic Void. Oh, we know Jim Branscombe. Brand new commentary track with film historians Wayne Byrne and Paul Farron. Strange Adventure, uh, a brand new interview with co-writer slash director Stuart Rafel, sorry. Balance, a brand new featurette with the cinematographer Nick McLean and camera operator Michael D. O'Shea. Alien Puppeteer, brand new interview with alien designer and puppeteer Christopher Swift. Down Memory Lane, a brand new interview with actress Christine Ebersole. Down to Earth, an archival interview with songwriter Ali Wills. Alter, alternate climactic shooting sequence sourced from video, so probably doesn't look too good. 40-page book in there, reversible sleeve artwork. That's Mac and Me getting a 4K UHD release. Not only a 4K UHD release, a Vinegar Syndrome Ultra 4K UHD release. Yeah, wild, 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 wild. But also kind of cool at the same time. So there goes Mac and Me. Let's see. Let's go over to I almost want to say Carry 2 The Rage, but it's not. It's The Rage Carry 2. I hate that they swap those things. It makes my brain hurt just thinking about it. Kind of made my brain hurt watching this movie. So, this movie is a sequel to Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma from 1976. Um, and it's a direct sequel. You could say a legacy sequel, if you will. This movie came out in 1999. Directed by Kat Shea, stars Emily Burgle, Jason London of Dazed and Confused fame, Dylan Bruno, J. Smith Cameron, Amy Irving, Zachary Ty Bryan, and John Doe. So Amy Irving played Sue Snell in the original Carrie from 1976 and is reprising her role in this. But in this film, she is now the counselor, the student counselor at the high school. The old high school from the Carrie, as we all know, no longer exists, burned down, went away. Uh, if you've seen that movie, you know what happened. I'm not going to spoil Carrie for people who haven't seen it yet. Come on, that'd be kind of cruel. Um, but there's this other student now who's exhibiting telekinetic powers, and Sue Snell notices it that it's very similar to Carrie, and she's starting to have flashbacks. She starts having flashbacks of of what happened with Carrie and all of that stuff. And she notices it in this young girl, and this young girl is also going through the same exact stuff that Carrie White went through back in the day, getting picked on at school, going through emotional trauma with shitty parents, all this kind of stuff. It's the same story. What I'm trying to say, it's the same story. Which leads you can make certain conclusions here of how the movie ends. You can figure it out. Doesn't take a genius to figure this puzzle. And man, it's not great. It not only is it dated because it's the late 90s, but it's relatively lower budgeted film, which doesn't help it. But it's not like good, or it's not really that good. It's more of a curiosity, like what what would a Carrie sequel look like? Considering I don't Stephen King never wrote a Carrie sequel. Um, so they're kind of just making up the story. I kind of hated like the direct connection that they made in it. Um, yeah, the movie kind of falls apart, I think, at some point. I think who's also like Mina Suvari's in the film as well, and she was in this before she was in American Pie and Loser and other films. Mina Suvari is actually, I think, from here, from where I live, from the state. I saw her first. I saw her at my first ever Comic Con that I went to back in 2016. She was signing autographs there. Um, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, you'll notice some other actors who were like, in these teenage movies at the time. Jason London is way too old to be in this movie. Like I said, this movie came out around 1999, 1998 or so. He was a high schooler. He was playing a high schooler in 1993 in Dazed and Confused. And now 6 years later, he's still playing a high schooler. I thought that was just odd. I thought the girl, Emily Burgle, who plays this kind of Carrie-esque character, was actually rather good. She's probably the best part of the movie. Um, yeah, not great. But let's see what we got for special features. 2-disc set, 4K Ultra HD plus a Blu-ray, 4K UHD presented in Dolby Vision, 4K scanned and restored in 4K. Newly scanned and restored in 4K, sorry. From its 35mm original camera negative, commentary track with the director Kat Shea, group commentary track with director, cinematographer, and moderated by David Decoto, deleted scenes with optional commentary track by the director, alternate ending with commentary by the director. Yeah, that's it. That's it. See what else we have to talk about. I'll talk about this quickly. Young Gary, Monster from the Deep. We just talked about Mac and Me being a ripoff of E.T. Young Gary, Monster of the Deep, you can guess it, is a kind of a ripoff of Godzilla. So earthquakes are causing havoc throughout Korea, and it's no simple seismic mayhem, but instead the mythic monster Young Gary emerging from the earth after nuclear testing awakens the giant monster presaged in Korean folklore. Young Gary threatens to level the country, breathing fire and stomping entire buildings. It's literally Godzilla, but it's in Korea and not in Japan. Coincidentally, I think this is a combination Japanese and Korean production. Yeah, and like the humans have to stop him. That's the premise of this movie. Considered one of Korea's first giant giant monster epics, Young Gary Monster from the Deep is a vital and original it's not original, take on the genre with an expertly handled monster, a healthy dose of humor, and even a clever touch of sentiment shown towards the monster itself. It also boasts masterful special effects crafted by the legendary Kazuo Muras. who did Mothra, King Kong versus Godzilla, and Gamera. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's kind of it. There's a rock and roll sequence in here where young Gary is dancing, which is obviously light and fluffy and made for children. Yeah, it's kind of a weird movie. Like I said, it is basically just a Korean version of Godzilla. I mean, there were so many Godzilla, um, you know, capital movies that capitalized on the popularity of Godzilla during the 1960s. Um, you had Gamera, you had of course a bunch of the spin-offs that were ended up being folded into the Godzilla lore like Mothra and all that stuff. Yeah, like yeah, so the movie is what it is. I'm kind of like losing my mind over what else to say about it. 2 disc set, 4K UHD, Blu-ray, 4K UHD presented in Dolby Vision, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35 millimeter interpositive. Okay. Commentary track with film historian Sam Deegan, commentary track with historian Steve Rifle, and writer slash critic Kim Song Ho. All that remains of Dongsu Youngari, the original Korean cut of Youngari with newly translated English subtitles sourced from tape and courtesy of the Korean Film Archive. Yes, that runs 48 minutes. So this movie is only available with an English dub. Like it says here, the Korean cut of the movie with the Korean language kind of doesn't really exist fully. All you have here is like a 48-minute version of it on tape. It's not fully formed. So I was looking to see if I could find the Korean version because the English dub for these movies really just obviously is a little ridiculous at times. It takes me right out of the movie, right out of the movie. And that's kind of what happened with this. Unfortunately, it's the only way you can see the movie is with an English dub. But other than that 48 minutes of the movie, you have an archival interview with legendary kaiju suit maker Keizo Moraes, originally produced for TohoKingdom.com. Young Gary, The Birth of Korea's Monster. Video introduction by film historian Sean Rhodes, co-author of Japan's Green Monsters, environmental commentary in kaiju cinema. And you got image gallery, anatomy poster by renowned kaiju artist Matt Frank, reversible sleeve art, and that is it. So this is another 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. Young Gary, Monster of the Deep. So if you're into kaiju films and you're kind of a kaiju film enthusiast or completist, you want everything, and you have Gamera, you have Godzilla, you got all the other ones. You may want this one as well. I think that's about it. We're going to talk about with the Vinegar Syndrome proper titles, and now we're going to move over to partner label stuff because that's where I spent a lot of my time watching things. So I'll run these down, and then we'll get into we'll highlight a couple of these bad boys, because some of these movies are actually really, really good. Some of these releases are really, really good, and I want you guys to take note of this. So we have A Man of Integrity from Big World Pictures. We have An Evening with Rodney Asher from Decantalog. We have Anita Swedish Nymphette from Club Super 8. We have Eureka from Film Movement, and we've got my highlight of this whole thing. This is the movie Ghostlight by IFC Films. One of my favorite movies of last year, like top 20 favorite movies of last year. This, I will say this right now. It's down to 103 copies, and so get yours while you can. But if you miss out, Diabolic DVD will get theirs, and I'm pretty sure Orbit DVD will get theirs as well. But Ghostlight being put up by IFC Films, mark it, because that's one I would highly recommend. I really like that movie a lot. But we'll talk about that release momentarily. Next up is Heat Wave Lasted 4 Days, Canadian International Pictures. Our friends over there doing some more good Canadian work. I Can See You from Glass Eye Picks. Nature and Nurture, 3 films by Naomi Koways. That's being put up by Film Movement. Next, we've got Only the River Flows from Kim Stim. Next is Pavements by Utopia. Route One slash USA, being put out by Icarus Films. Next, we've got Self Driver by Cinephobia releasing, Shari by Connie, Shocksploitation being put out by Shudder. That's a documentary about, you guessed it, Shocksploitation films. Uh, Next, we have Slacks that's being put out by Shudder. We have Stockholm Bloodbath being put out by Brainstorm Media. Then we have Teenage Gang Debs being put out by AGFA, or American Genre Film Archive, however you want to pronounce it. They Call Her Death, being put out by Yellow Veil Pictures. Now, this is actually available to stream on Shudder. I thought it was a Shudder release. It's not. You can just stream it on there. Let's see. We have Twisted Issues by Saturn's Core. We've got Warm Water Under a Red Bridge being put out by Film Movement Classics. Let's see. We've got Watch Them Come Blood being put out by ETR Media. We Are What We Are by IFC Films, which I just watched last night. And that is it. That is it. So let me get into right away, without hesitation, Ghostlight. So Ghostlight is an incredible, heartfelt, genuine, I would dare say amazing indie film that came out last year. Like I said, one of my favorite films of last year. It is wonderful. Just absolutely wonderful. I'll read the description they have here for you guys. When melancholic construction worker Dan finds himself drifting from his wife and daughter, he discovers community and purpose in a local theater production of Romeo and Juliet. As the drama on stage starts to mirror his own life, he and his family are forced to confront a personal loss. Directed by Kelly O'Sullivan and Alex Thompson, starring Keith Kuferer, Catherine Malin Kuferer, Tara Malin, Dolly De Leon, and Hannah Dworkin. I'm losing my voice. This movie was so genuine because you've got these actors who are not like really, obviously, you probably didn't recognize any of them. They're, unknown actors doing really genuine good work. And then sometimes, you can get unknown actors who are not very good, who are just like starting out, who are just working on their craft, who are just, you got to start somewhere. But these actors were really fantastic. Like, I was just blown away by the sheer chemistry of them and the human emotion and just the way in which how genuine everything feels. So you have this father who is just they're dealing with trauma, they're dealing with a loss, they're dealing with grief, they're dealing with, kind of drifting through life because of that, and to find some type of thing to latch on to that you didn't expect. Like, he's just kind of there trying it out. Like, he didn't think that he would be doing community theater. He has no acting aspirations or anything like that whatsoever. But what helps about this movie is that the father and the mother and the daughter, who are all, kind of going through these things in different ways, the actors are all related. They're all related. Like, it's a real mother, real father, and real daughter. I believe so. Yeah. See, yeah. Yeah, so I'm reading the trivia right now. Keith I think it's Kufferer. Yeah, Kufferer, Tara Malin, who play husband and wife Dan and Sharon Muller, are married in real life, and Catherine Malin Kufferer is their actual daughter. That right there is so pivotal to why this movie's so good, because the chemistry is so good between those three, and that they're at the heart of the story. And man, it's just so good. It's so good and so genuine. People say that, there aren't good movies anymore. Hollywood's not doing good movies. They're not doing anything original. They're not doing anything that's unique or anything like that. You gotta seek out the indie stuff. You gotta look past the Hollywood big time stuff. You gotta look past what is at your local mega multiplexes, actually. And we talked a little bit about this when we had Sean Baker on. I mentioned a little bit is that, people, you know, it people not seeing the mid-level films, not seeing the lower independent stuff, and then complaining about like Hollywood doesn't make these movies anymore is because they don't get any exposure to them. They're not in the theaters long enough. They're not at a lot of theaters. They're not, they're not being promoted at all. You know what I mean? So they're kind of stuck. But if you have the ability to see a lot of these lower movies, definitely take that opportunity to. They're really, really good stuff. Um, yeah. Um, let's see what we have here for special features. We've got an audio commentary with writer-director Kelly O'Sullivan and co-director Alex Thompson, deleted scenes and extended scenes, and cast audition tapes, booklet with a new essay by film critic Mariah Gates, our friend Mariah, who is the founder or the creator of the hashtag Noirvember. She is, really fantastic. She's a big inspiration for me when it comes to a lot of things dealing with, um, cinema in general. A lot of things like queer cinema and black cinema and stuff like that. A lot of her work has been about women in film. She just came out with a new book called Women in Film, with dealing with women in film. I just want to check the connection right now. Let me see. Huh, interesting. Okay, so I'm doing all right. So let's see what else we've got here. So obviously um check out Ghostlight if you can. Like I said, there's 103 copies left. I don't know if it's gonna sell out anytime soon, but that's not a lot of copies. Um Another really great film is A Man of Integrity. Um Being put out by Big World Pictures. Big Wo- um this is an Iranian film by Mohammed Rasulov. I can't pronounce the actors' names in it. Needless to say, they're all really fantastic. This movie came out in 2017. It's about this guy named Reza. Reza, having distanced himself from the urban quagmire, leads a simple life along with his wife and young son, somewhere in a remote village in northern Iran. He spends his days working on his goldfish farm nearby. A private company with close links to the government and local authorities has taken control of nearly every aspect of regional life. Its shareholders accumulating wealth, power, and economic influence have been pushing local farmers and small owners to sell off their belongings, farms, and estates to the benefit of the company's influential network and its monopolies. So, this movie's dealing a lot about with local political corruption. It's dealing a lot with standing up for one's principles, standing up for oneself against seemingly insurmountable odds and people with all kinds of influence, specifically political and personal influence, like local government officials and kind of corrupt businessmen and things like that. And he goes up against the brunt of it. And he's got to deal with that. And they make his life a living hell. They mess with him so badly over like small stuff, like not small stuff, but like something I find so petty is like land, like something like that. It's like you guys already own everything else. You already have so much money and influence. Just let this guy have his little property. Um, but no, they want it all. They want it all, and I know that's part of the whole theme of it. Um, um, so let's see what we got here for special features. I'm just making sure my connection's still good. No special features. What a damn shame. There is a booklet with an essay by Jonathan Rosenbaum, I believe the film critic and writer, but that is it. Wow, that's it. Oh, that's unfortunate because the movie is so good. Let's see. So Anita Let's get this out of the way. Anita Swedish Nymphette is an interesting movie dealing with nymphomania, as kind of the title suggests. So, many of you probably remember the movie Nymphomaniac Parts 1 and 2, directed by Lars von Trier several years ago. Well, that movie is influenced by this one. So, this movie, you have a young, well, she is rather young, um, a young woman who is obsessed with sex, essentially. And it's an impulse that she cannot control. But there is a young man who comes into her life who kind of doesn't treat her as that. Let me read the description. So Christine Lindbergh, who was in Thriller, a Cruel Picture, there's a connection there to another Swedish film. Is Anita, a teenage nymphomaniac who feels compelled to seduce every man she meets. It's literally every man she meets, and after being rescued from a particularly dirty and seedy old man by a psychology student, Eric, played by, you get this nymphomaniac connection right now, a young Stellan Skarsgård. Super, super young Stellan Skarsgård from 1973 is in this movie. I didn't recognize him until reading the credits for this movie. But in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, Stellan Skarsgård is in that as well, playing a similar role. Um, so there's that direct connection. It says it right here, a young Stellan Skarsgård, decades before he starred in Hollywood films like Pirates of the Caribbean, and also played a very similar character in Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac. He attempts to uncover the causes of Anita's behavior. Directed by one of Sweden's most significant sexploitation filmmakers, Torgny Wickman, who directed The Language of Love, his cult classic uses a series of study of nymphomania as a pretext for scorching eroticism. And yes, there, of course, with a movie like this, there's a lot of sexual content, nudity, all those kinds of stuff. It is a sexploitation film, but it attempts to do more than that. That's what is a little giving this film a little extra boost. Is it does attempt to kind of explore the concept of nymphomania and things like that. So I give it points for that. Let's see what we got for special features. Region-free 2-disc Blu-ray, documentary Stellan Sex and Psychotherapy, introduction by Christina Lindbergh at Bio Aspen, Stockholm 2021, introduction by Christina Lindbergh at Everyman Broadgate, that was in London of 2021, Christina and Torgny, Christina Lindbergh career interview, Vickman Week, Lakin 2024, audio commentary with Jason Carter and Ricard Gramfers, British trailer. I think there's a couple of different edits of there's a French dub, which is a complete different edit of the movie, new scan from duplicate negative, optional English and Swedish subtitles. So it's Les Impures, I guess is the French title of the movie and the title of the French cut of the movie. When the Sex Master came to Katrine home, Jason Carter, Vickman Week, Lakin 2024. Anita, the story of a bad film, essay by Jason Carter, poster and image gallery. So there you go. It's that's the movie. Oh, nice. So we got some other comments here. I'm glad. Thank you, Humboldt Horror Honey, for commenting, because I didn't know if my connection was still good. Because over here on StreamYard it says I got unstable connection, but when I go over to YouTube, it says I have excellent connection. So I don't know what to make of that at all. So thank you. So Humboldt Horror Honey says I got Anita and interrogation for Vinegar Syndrome this time. Was going to get a few other things, but controlled myself. So much stuff coming out. Very, very true. That is the one thing with this just massive drop every single first of the month with Vinegar Syndrome is there's a lot of stuff there and a lot of stuff you want to get, and some stuff does sell out fast. It really all depends on which company and how much they're putting out. For example, I was just talking about this Anita Nymphette movie, and I think it's only limited to 1,000 copies. It's 1,000 copies. which is not still not a lot, still not a lot. But let's move on from Anita. We're going to move over to Film Movement's release here of Eureka. So this is also a really good movie. This is an Argentine. Oh, okay, I lied. It's not. It's not the movie I was thinking of. Hold on, hold on. Reverse. This movie is an interesting movie. I wouldn't say great movie. It's interesting. So, traversing time, space, and genre, Argentinian filmmaker Lisandro Alonso presents an elliptical meditation on the experiences of indigenous communities across the Americas, opening in a dusty town of the Old West. Reality soon transitions to contemporary South Dakota's Pine Ridge Reservation before landing in the jungles of 1970s Brazil. As the triptych unfolds, each temporal and spatial shift provokes metaphysical questions about colonial influence on native peoples and the ever present tensions between indigeneity and the Western world. Featuring three-time Academy Award nominee Viggo Mortensen, Eureka is a graceful refraction of history and place, marking it Alonso's most expansive and ambitious film to date. That's accurate. That was said by Screen Anarchy. So, this movie is 147 minutes long. That is 2 hours and 27 minutes. It is a very long movie. It's not a movie that is really based in so much plot as it is a story set in three different time frames, only kind of exploring these themes tangentially through very loose plots. It's a slow movie, very slow movie. Don't get excited about Viggo Mortensen. He's only in the first part of this movie, and the first part of this movie, which takes place in the Old West, is the shortest part of this movie. The rest of the movie takes place in these other time frames, and the scenes go on for a long time. Um, this movie is kind of like an Ozu film dialed up to 11 in terms of the patience the filmmaking has and expects from you as a viewer. Like, there are scenes where you're just holding on someone sitting in a chair, like drinking something or attempting to drink something or about to drink something, and the camera holds there for like minutes. Okay, so we're talking slow filmmaking here. Not going to be for everyone, but I'm intrigued about what other films this filmmaker has done, especially since he's worked with Viggo Mortensen before in another film, and I think a movie called Georgia. I kind of want to check that out. I'm intrigued, to say the least. But this movie is very very long. We have Viggo Mortensen, Chiara Mastroianni, Elena Clifford, Sadie Lapointe, Vilberk Malling Agger are the stars of this movie. Well, I've used stars kind of loosely there because it's not really about one person. Um, Chiara Mastroianni is the daughter of Catherine Deneuve and Marcello Mastroianni. Didn't know that. I didn't know that until I watched this movie. Um, yeah, yeah, very fascinating connection there. But there's no special features here. There's just time is fiction video essay by filmmaker Hunter Whaley, sorry. Um, that's it. So one special feature, not nothing, but still, but one. Um, interesting. Um, I already talked about Ghostlight. I wasn't. This kind of killed me because I love the guys over at Canadian International Pictures. I wasn't able to find the Heat Wave lasted 4 days to watch, but just know that, like, this is one of my favorite labels is Canadian International Pictures. Um, it's a movie that's 72 minutes long. I think it was like, well, while shooting a news report on the Montreal heat wave, TV cameraman Cliff Reynolds unintentionally films Jersey Cuozo, a recently escaped convict hiding from police and his former criminal associates on the heels of a rogue heroin deal. With the help of Barbara and Gabriella, Jerry schemes to fake his own death while offering large sums of money to Cliff to hand over his film and help deliver the drugs with lethal consequences. Yep, never get yourself involved in these things. It's a 50th anniversary special edition of this movie. It's directed by Douglas Jackson. Like I said, 72 minutes long, loads of special features. Well, not loads, but a good amount. There's a 3 separate versions of Heat Wave lasted 4 days. The original TV cut, which is 66 minutes long, the extended cut, which is 72 minutes long, the 4-episode film glish version, which runs 80 minutes long. New audio commentary featuring author/film historian Amanda Reyes. 4 days, 3 versions, an overview of the differences in the 3 cuts. The Huntsman, Jackson's first fiction film. The Sloan Affair, a Jackson TV movie that runs 53 minutes long. Okay. Uncle T, a Jackson short featuring Linda Griffin and Heatwave's Gordon Pinsent. And that's it. But I just found it to be fascinating. I wish I could have seen it. But that is the Heatwave lasted 4 days from Canadian International Pictures. I had to give those guys a shout out, even though I didn't see their movie. To see this movie. But I did see this 3-film set. I spent my Saturday night watching 3 Japanese films back to back to back. That is what I do on my fun-filled Saturday nights. I watch Japanese cinema. And here we go with this 3-film set here. It's called Nature and Nurture, 3 films by Naomi Koi's. Interesting work. This was my introduction to this director. I hadn't seen her work before. I hadn't been familiar with her work before. I knew nothing. So we've got 3 movies here. We've got the movie True Mothers, Radiance, and Still the Water. So Still the Water is the earliest, so we'll start out with that. On the subtropical Japanese island of Amami, 16-year-old Kato discovers a young woman's body floating in the sea. His girlfriend, Kyoko, attempts to help him make sense of this mystery while also coming to terms with her shaman mother's terminal illness. Together, they broach adulthood by experiencing the interwoven cycles of life, death, and love. That right there, life, death, and love, is what this movie is about. You've got these 2 young people, 16 years old, in a relationship together. So you've got the exploration of young love. You've got this exploration of death where the young woman, the young girl, her mother is dying, slowly dying, and just life in general. That's life in general. Life is about love and death. Love and death, and the intertwining of the 2. This movie is saying a lot. It says a lot. These movies are a lot. These movies are saying a lot. They're doing a lot. These movies are a cumbersome of a lot of emotions and a lot of themes. And it was quite a journey to go through all of these. But Still the Water, I think, is very, very good. Came out in 2014. Then you've got Radiance. Radiance, Misako is a passionate writer of film versions for the visually impaired. At a screening, she meets Nakamori, an older photographer who is slowly losing his eyesight. Masako soon discovers Nakamori's photographs, which strangely bring her back to her past. Together, they learn to see the radiant world that had been invisible to her eyes. So much going on in this movie. So much going on. There's a lot going on in this movie too. Yet again, it's life and love, but a different kind of love. A love for life, a love for the beauty of the world, and a love for the beauty of underneath the beauty of the world. Like I'm saying, layers here. Absolute beautiful layers of this movie. This movie has some of the most beautiful, stunning cinematography of the sun and magic hour and things like that you'll ever see in a film. Like Terrence Malick wishes he got these shots. That's how good the shots are in this movie. Terrence Malick only wishes he could get these shots. But the movie it's a fascinating kind of exploration about, losing. And also there's something in here that I found fascinating. How our memories are tied to images. For example, if you've lost a loved one, not being able to see them ever again, will that hinder your ability to remember them? I've lost a lot of people recently in my life, and holding on to the image of them gets harder and harder as life goes on. You know what I mean? So this idea of that our our memories are tied to images, especially when it's somebody like this whose entire life is also been tied to images, literally. At one point in the movie, he refers to his camera as his heart. So it literally like his being is the camera, and losing that, you know what I mean? What does that mean? Yet again, these movies are saying a lot at a much higher level, but it's a lot to think about. It really, really is. But the last film here is, let me go back to the tab. The last movie here is called True Mothers, which is the longest film. This is a very long movie. I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's rather long, but this is her most recent film, Naomi Koei's. Came out in 2020, and I think it was Japan's like entry into the Oscars for their best foreign language film, or best international film rather. After a long and unsuccessful struggle to get pregnant, Satoko and her husband decide to adopt a child. Over the next 6 years, the middle class couple and their young son, Asato, settle into a comfortable, albeit routine life. The family's orderly existence is shattered by the arrival of Hikari, a young woman claimed to be Asato's biological mother, demanding his return. As tensions mount, Satoko grows more and more emboldened to defend her family. It's kind of, not really what the movie is about. The movie, that description makes it out to be like there's a custody battle. It's like Kramer versus Kramer. It's not what the movie's about at all. It's not what the movie's about at all. What we have here is actually two movies in one. I think that's why the movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. We have two movies in one. We have this journey about these two people attempting to conceive a child, attempting to have a child, and they cannot. So then they have to go through the process of dealing with that, as well as dealing with adopting. And then you've got the life of the mother who has to give up her child for adoption. So you're seeing the story really from two different perspectives. You're seeing, the people who get the child and what happens to the mother who gives up the child. And the movie kind of bounces back and forth between the two. So the movie can get a little jumbled. And it bounces back and forth in time within those stories too. Like you're seeing like the present couple that has their 6-year-old son, and then it'll bounce back to like when they were younger. So the movie's bouncing around in time. Can get a little confusing, especially with the whole language barrier there as well. If you're not a Japanese speaking person, that's going to affect you as well. What is interesting is that this movie is I just watched Parallel Mothers, which is the Pedro Almodovar film, which which is about two different mothers and two different parents and their journeys that they go on. This movie, the movie True Mothers, does it with a lot more depth than this does. Not that this movie doesn't have depth, because it does. It's Pedro Almodovar. It's Penelope Cruz. It's great. But but it's interesting that True Mothers is kind of what I expected Parallel Mothers to be, and it's not. They're both rather good movies, though. They're both very, very good. I just found that to be an interesting connection of something I did recently here on Chasing Labels. Check out the recent episode of Unwashed Pile if you're curious more about what I thought of Pedro Almodovar's Parallel Mothers. I thought I'd get that little plug in there. But True Mothers by Naomi Koei's, because it's a cumbersome film dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of plot in here, a lot of things, because the movie is rather long. Two different plot lines, two different mothers and their journeys, and all this kind of stuff. Really good film though. Really good film. Let's see what we got for special features. Unfortunately, it's absolutely nothing. Oh, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. Bonus feature: actress Juliette Binoche and filmmaker Naomi Koei's discuss True Mothers. That's it. When I said absolutely nothing, there's one. Now, Juliette Binoche is not in the movie, which is fascinating to me that she would be talking about it. But hey, I would just love to hear what she has to say. So that is how I spent my Saturday night, watching these three Japanese films back to back to back. Nature and Nurture, three films by Naomi Koei's. And these were all able to be streamed on Canopy. So if you have Canopy, or you have access to Canopy through your local library system, that's where I watch them. To be honest, if you don't have access to Canopy, sign up for a library card. It is literally free, and then you have access to Canopy or Hoopla, whichever one your library system has access to. Let's see. Next is another Japanese film. No, this is Chinese. Sorry. Um, this is the movie Only the River Flows. It's being put out by Kim Stim. So Only the River Flows is a movie that is very much in the vein of Memories of Murder. Now, you hear Memories of Murder, and if you know Memories of Murder, you're immediately excited. I get you. I understand. That's the Bong Joon Ho film that came out in 2003, I think. That's excellent. That's Criterion's put out the Blu-ray. Great film. This movie is not quite as good as that. So definitely temper your expectations. Temper your expectations. Uh uh, it's not quite Memories of Murder, but it strives to be. Okay, it tries to be. So when a woman's body is discovered on the banks of a river near a small town in southern China, it is up to police investigator Ma Ji, working out of an abandoned cinema to find the killer. But what at first appears to be an open and shut case turns out to be the only first layer of an ever deepening mystery. As Ma's inquiry reveals the hidden life of the rural community based on Yu Hua's short novel Mistakes by the River, Wei's bleakly atmospheric tour de force neo-noir is laced with gallows humor and I can see a lot of humor in there, and touches of the surreal. Its grungy, low contrast 16 millimeter photography, uh, a hand in glove fit for its 1990s setting, visually entrancing, a mystifying gem, one of the best films at Cannes 2023. That's what someone said. That's a quote. Okay. This movie is directed by Wei Zhujun. I think that's how you pronounce that. Shujun. 101 minutes, so it's a short film. Not short, but you know that shorter than one would expect for a film that's kind of like this, but also not a lot of wasted time. Like every scene is exploring the deeper and deeper vastness of this murder mystery, if you will. Um, and it's in, like I said, it's in the same vein of like Memories of Murder, of The Cure, Seven, maybe. You know what I mean? Like kind of a lot of those types of movies. And it is shot in 16 millimeter, so you get a little extra grittiness in there. You know what I mean? If you know the difference between 35 millimeter and 16 millimeter, you know what I'm saying. It definitely lends to that aesthetic of it all. A lot of like, it's also like a darker, melancholic film. The lead detective in here is definitely going through it. Like the more deeper, the more involved he gets within um, this investigation, like the more disturbed he becomes. So it's almost like a little Nightcrawler vibe in there too. But I liked it. I liked the movie. For special features, unfortunately, only one special feature here. Interview with Wei Zhuzhen by Panos Katsathanasis of Asian Movie Pulse. So an interview with the director. That's it. Um, see what else we've got here. I don't think there's much left that I saw. No. So I wanted to watch the movie Pavements. It's actually still like barely just came out in the theaters. So I couldn't wasn't able to watch that. I didn't get to watch Route One USA, which I think is kind of like a docu series or something like that. Self Driver I didn't get to see. Shari by Connie I didn't get to see. Shark Exploitation, I could have watched it. Um it's on Shutter, and it's a documentary about the shark exploitation films. It's the 50th anniversary of Jaws, so it's appropriate that this is getting a release. Certain people that are in it are probably people you've will recognize: Roger Corman, Joe Dante, Mario Van Peebles, Joe Alves, Adam Rifkin. Um, yeah, it's exactly that. Um, so let's see what else we've got here. Oh, They Call Her Death is interesting. Super duper low budget film. Like I would be surprised if this movie was made for like $100,000. Um, and it's supposed to be like a grindhouse western style movie that came out in 2024, so last year. Molly Prey is on a bloody crusade against the criminal forces who have wronged her. Her mission strikes at the myth of manifest destiny, but for Molly, with the embodied specter of death on her side, this isn't political. This is personal. So what happens is There's this woman called Molly Prey. Her husband gets like blamed for a murder he didn't commit because he kind of knew the person, and he was like an ex criminal or something. So like the powers that be in this town need a fall guy, so they just like chose her husband, and they put a bounty on him. This bounty hunter comes along, takes him out, and then she gets revenge on the people who did that. But she becomes like this kind of specter esque type of person, and she starts seeing like visions of like death that's like following her and or like going along with her on this journey. The movie is super low budget. When I mean low budget, I mean like I said, like very very low, like maybe $100,000. But what they were able to do on a super low budget to make this movie look like a grindhouse western B movie, drive-in movie from the '70s is kind of impressive. It's kind of impressive. Now, with all of that, the acting isn't great and all that kind of stuff. But some of the gore effects are all practically done. Actually, all the gore effects are practically done. Blood spurts like you would see in a Quentin Tarantino film, which he got from movies from back then. Little Lady Snowblood act feeling from it. You get a little feeling from like spaghetti westerns, something like Django, not Django Unchained, but Django. Something like a Sergio Corbucci type of film vibe from it too. All of that stuff. It's it's very impressive for what it is. Um, and I really was really impressed by what they were able to do with it. So for special features, this is being put out. Who's putting this out? Yellow Veil. Yellow Veil, who always does a good job with their releases. Director commentary with director Austin Snell, producers slash VFX artist Adam Jeffers, cast commentary with Sherry Ripple, Jeff Boyer, Devin Garcia, and Jason Puff. Interview with practical effects artist Jake Jackson. I'm actually very curious about that. Making of They Call Her Death, Q&A at the Liberty Hall Theater, 2 storyboards to scenes, the ambush and the flashback. Director Austin Snell visits the Vinegar Syndrome archive. Behind the scenes of the dubbed Japanese premiere. This is the movie They Call Her Death. Yeah, it's got an exploitation vibe to it too. Let's see. So I wasn't able to see Warm Water Under a Red Bridge, although that is streaming on Canopy as well. And I've seen another movie from this director before. Let's see. Yeah, it's Shoei Imomura, who directed The Eel, which Radiance put out a release of. So it's the same director who directed that. But I guess I'll go to the last film I kind of saw, and that is We Are What We Are from 2010. This is a Mexican film. This is getting released by IFC Films, their second release of this month's slate. And this is, I don't want to give it away. A family drama morphs into a potent, disturbing vision of horror in this shocking, bloody, and deeply moving first feature. I wouldn't say deeply moving, but whatever. When its patriarch drops dead in the street, a devastated Mexican clan turns to the eldest son to provide for it. I don't want to say the rest of this because it gives away the twist. But the twist is there early on. It's not really a twist. Needless to say, this family is into some gruesome stuff. And it's led by a patriarch, and once their patriarch dies, what do they do then? Like, how do they proceed? They have to do some type of ritual after their patriarch passes. How is that going to be conducted? And then things kind of somewhat escalate from there. My biggest issue with this movie is a lot of the actions of a lot of the characters in this movie are rather dumb. And I know that happens a lot in any movie, any genre. In the horror genre, happens all the time. But this family does things that this family is, the things they're into are stuff you're supposed to keep under wraps. Like, you're not supposed to let people know you exist, but they constantly do things that expose them to like other people. Not expose what they're doing, but just like put them in like other people's viewing. You know what I mean? Like put like they make a lot of dumb decisions. And I'm watching the movie and I'm like, for people who are trying to do stuff that they're trying to do, they shouldn't be doing this. Like they're gonna get caught. Like they're asking to get caught. And the movie kind of goes from there. The movie's directed by Jorge Michel Grau. It was actually remade in with an American English language version with in 2013, starring Julia Gardner, which I heard is actually better than the original, and you don't hear that very often. We Are What We Are is the title of the movie. Let's see. Yeah, so the 2013 remake, directed by Jim Mickey or Mickle, does star Julia Gardner, and instead of a patriarch dying at the beginning of the movie, I believe a matriarch passes away. Wyatt Russell's in this movie too, the son of Kurt Russell. Oh, very interesting. Early role for him. Michael Parks is in the movie too. The late great Michael Parks. I kind of want to see the remake. Just curious. Yeah. So We Are What We Are from 2010. I watched it late last night. Let's see. Region A Blu-ray. New audio commentary by Shelley Rowan Legg, author of the Spanish fantastic contemporary filmmaking in horror, fantasy, and sci-fi, and writer slash lecturer Mo Moshati. Archival making of featurette. Booklet with new writing by film scholar and writer Valeria Villegas Lindval. Okay, so that is We Are What We Are. An interesting indie Mexican horror film. Very low key, I would say, gruesome at times. Obviously your mileage may vary in terms of what your tolerance is for that. But but some things in it, some decisions in the plot I found were a little bit odd. Yeah. So that is We Are What We Are. So that is everything from Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels. I wanted to get that in before, just in case they shut down the website tonight to fulfill any orders and whatnot. But so we will go over to our last two things I have on my list here, and we won't spend too much time. Actually, we got some time. But we will go over to Umbrella, and then we will finish up with Arrow. So Umbrella was actually one of the earliest ones to post in the period in between the last episode and this episode, and they're putting out Angst, a 4K Blu-ray edition of that. New Extremity Collection Volume 2. We'll get into what those are. The Resurrection of the Golden Wolf, which I didn't get to see, so we'll probably not spend a lot on that. The Reef, ABCs of Death. And I think that's it. Let me make sure to go over. Hold on. Let me make sure to go over to their Facebook page to see if I got everything. They let's see, where are you? They changed their logo recently, Umbrella did. I don't know if anybody caught up on that. Some people like it, some people don't. They I don't mind it. I honestly I don't mind it. Let's see. Let me scroll down, scrolling. I scroll back to like 2 weeks ago. I know they're putting out Dogma in the movie theaters down in Australia, which is pretty cool. I wonder if they're gonna give it a physical media release. Yeah, Resurrection of the Golden Wolf, The Reef, that box set, French Extreme box set, Angst, and then ABCs of Death. Okay, so I was right. For some reason I thought I was missing one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 releases. Okay. Let's go over back to where I was before. So let's start at the top here with the best of the best. The movie Angst is quite possibly one of the most disturbing movies I've ever seen. Disturbing in the sense that it's so cold, so nihilistic, so matter of fact that it is just like I'm watching it the whole time and just utterly mesmerized by what I was seeing. Um, yeah. So the fact that it's getting a 4K release is crazy to me. So Angst is based on the true story of mass murderer Werner Niesek. Lauded as one of the best serial killer films ever made, Angst is an exercise in fear and disturbance, featuring innovative camera work for the time and incredible performances. Angst puts you in the mind of a compulsive killer in the moments of the act, making it both a chilling and compelling experience. That's the thing. The movie is told entirely from his perspective, and the way in which the camera works in this film puts you right in there. Um, it's almost as if they hook the camera rig right onto the actor himself, and you get shots from that perspective. Not even POV perspectives, but like right in his face, and you can just see how dead inside this person is. Just how cold and unforgiving, nihilistic, just unbelievably how there's nothing there, no heart, no soul, no nothing. And the movie is just the whole aesthetic of the movie is like that. It reminded me a lot of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, but even more disturbing. Um, yeah, it truly is. And the reason why I find movies like this more disturbing is because it looks so real. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about a real person committing real acts of, horrible stuff. As opposed to like the more, fantasy of it all, like the Michael Myers of the world, the Jason Voorhees, the Freddy Krueger, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's horrific, but there's so much fantasy and sci-fi-ness into it that you can divorce yourself from the reality of it. Whereas opposed to something like this, you're right in there. Man, you are right in there, and it is a tough, tough watch. And the camera doesn't pull away. Um, so it's a rough movie, man. I had never seen the movie before, and I knew of it, but there's two versions of this. There's the collector's edition, and there's just the regular edition where you just get the discs. But the extras for the standard edition is available from select stores, only from the Umbrella web store. You can get the Angst 4K and Blu-ray collector's edition, which includes 48-page book of behind-the-scenes material, custom rigid slipcase, custom slipcase design, 8 art cards, the reversible poster, limited edition numbered release. Okay, here's the on-disc stuff. New audio commentary from director Gerald Gargle, audio commentary with critics Kat Ellinger and Martin Contario, post-screening Q&A with director Gerald Cargill and actor Erwin Leader. New Fear 40 Years interview with actor Erwin Leader. Through the Eyes of a Killer interview with cinematographers Spignew Rybaznesky. I probably butchered that. New Walls That Saw Everything About Angst location featurette. New Killer POV Lindsay Hallam on the cinematography of Angst. New Angst Through the Ages, Nate Roscoe on the chokehold of the serial killer on the 20th century cinema. And what is interesting is over the last several years, there's been a big uptick in the popularity of true crime and serial killers and stuff like that. They've done so much stuff, so much, movies and TV series, docu-series, all this kinds of stuff. But this movie came out in 1983, which blows my mind just because of how incredible, impactful it is. Like, man, deep stuff. Speaking of now we kind of shift to kind of the more, like I said, theatrical stuff, I guess you can say, except for one movie in here, which is very, very realistically disturbing. New Extremity Collection Volume 2. Now, this has a few movies in it. Let's see what we have here. We have featuring Doberman from 97, Fat Girl from 2001, the Catherine Breillat film, In My Skin from 2002. That's the third release of In My Skin. 29 Palms from 2003 with hours of new video extras. So I'm not going to go through each of these movies. I'll go through the ones I've seen. So Fat Girl I've seen. by Catherine Breillat. There is a Blu-ray of this put out by Criterion. Interesting that this is in a new Extremity collection. Interesting in the sense that if you've seen the movie, it's not the same as like In My Skin, where it's gory, where it's um horrific in that sense. It's dealing a lot more introspective stuff. Except for I don't want to say anything about the movie because I don't want to spoil it for people. But Catherine Breillat is definitely known for not holding back, like not holding back. Catherine Breillat is a bold filmmaker. Fat Girl is a bold film as well. So definitely fits in that regard. In My Skin, this is the third release of it. It got a Severin 4K release. Where did it get another release? It got a release, I think overseas. Oh, it got a release from Radiance. Radiance gave it a release, and it's got a release from Umbrella. So there we go. I believe that's the 3 releases. So with all of that being said, this movie's getting a lot of popularity. A lot of popularity. So I didn't get to see Doberman. Doberman I could have watched. I should have watched. That movie has Vincent Cassel in it. I think Monica Bellucci's in it as well. Let's see. Let me just go over the special features here, and then we'll move on. I'm getting very, very tired. So extra standard soft pack edition available from select stores, only available from Umbrella Web Store, the collector's edition, which has all movies completely uncut and uncensored, 100-page book. It's got custom artwork. It's got 2 reversible posters. It's got 2. It's got a limited edition number release. Boy, so each movie has a plethora of special features. My goodness. I'm not going to go through all of these. Go to the Umbrella website and read it for yourselves, please. I will say this, though, that Fat Girl does have new special features, including a commentary by Kat Ellinger. So obviously it's got more than that Blu-ray from Criterion, which has come out years ago now. In My Skin has a new commentary with Kat Ellinger as well as Martin Conterio. So that must be different than what we're getting from Severin and Radiance, I think. 29 Palms, which I didn't mention when I was running down. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. No, odd. Oh, anywho, so 29 Palms is also in this as well. I didn't get to see that as well either. But that has the least amount of special features. But it's all relatively new stuff. Well, 2 are from 2004 and 2003. 1 is from 2022. But it does have some new stuff too. So you get 29 Palms, In My Skin, Fat Girl, Doberman, which has the most special features. Yeah, Doberman, 29 Palms, Fat Girl, In My Skin. Yeah. So what's that? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4 movies. Sorry, I can't count right now. 3 hours into this, and my mind is fading fast. This happens every time. It happens every time. Plus, with Umbrella, they just they plaster so much information on their pages. It's like it's overwhelming. So Resurrection of the Golden Wolf, I didn't get to see, so I didn't get to check that out. The Reef, I did get to watch. This movie is exactly what you're thinking in your mind that it is. People go out on a boat, they hit a reef, and they get stranded in the ocean, and they have to survive. That's The Reef. It's an Australian film, I believe. Yes, it's an Australian film. Special features, actually quite a nice package here. Collector's edition has the 48-page book, which seems standard. 8 art cards, reversible poster. It's got the hard case. Let's see. We've got new audio commentary with director Andrew Troike, moderated by journalist David Michael Brown. New interview with actor Giton Grantley. New interview with actor Adrian Pickering. New a Shark Tale Laurent Auckler on the Reef. New behind the scenes stills gallery. Oh, also there's a shark that's going after these people. So it's part of shock exploitation too. We talked a little bit about shock exploitation. I believe this is definitely part of it. Um, there you go. That's the Reef. ABCs of Death. I'm pretty sure many of you are familiar with ABCs of Death. This is an anthology film which came out in 2010, where a different director would basically take um, a name, a letter in the alphabet, and they would base a movie around it, uh, around like a word from it. Let me see. Let me see some of the names that are in associated with it. Associated with it, you'd be surprised. ABCs of wow. Yeah, the ABCs of Death from 2012. I'm pretty sure I saw this maybe 2013, maybe around 2012. Whenever it became available to stream is when I saw it. Let me get some of the directors here. Some of them you may be familiar with. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There'll be some more prominent. Oh, like Ty. Yeah, so Ty West, Ben Wheatley, Adam Wingard. Those are probably the names you know the most. So, like, yeah. So, for example, Ty West's segment is M for miscarriage. You can imagine what that's about. Adam Wingard is Q for quack. Ben Wheatley's segment is U for unearthed. So you get the sense of how the movie is structured. So they go from A to Z, and they're short films. They range from like I don't know, like a couple of minutes to like 15 minutes long. You know that they have to get through 26 letters. Can't be that long, and the whole thing runs. Yeah, it's 26 chapters, 2 hours and 9 minutes. So you can do the math on that. But for special features, okay, we're not going to go through all this. they, uh, they literally have 26 like special features. A through like A is for apocalypse, which talks about the oil burns of visual effects. B is for Bigfoot, making of. We're not going through all this. So, there's some new interview with the producers, new interview with somebody else. Yeah, we're not gonna go through all this. It's gonna get a little monotonous over time. But that is it from Umbrella. Angst, which is definitely the highlight. New Extremity Collection Volume 2. The Resurrection of the Golden Wolf. The Reef. ABCs of Death. Yeah. Let's see. Now we come to it. Arrow. So actually, before I get to Arrow, couple of things here. Couple of things here. I've got to check my notes for a second here. They well, I gotta send a quick message. They yeah, so there's a couple of things that were announced either yesterday or today that I've got to make sure to mention. So The Graduate is getting a 4K UHD release from StudioCanal, a big time like collector's edition. I wanted to make sure to mention that. I've got to go over to our buddy Ryan over at the Disconnected. I saw him post about it earlier. Let me see if I can find it on his page. Oh, Severin. Severin is also starting preparations for their Severin sale, the one they have every single summer. It's happening this month. So they're going to be announcing some mystery titles. So the Severance sale is July 25th. So that's coming up at the end of the month. And the first movie that they've announced actually is the movie Baskin, which I know very little about, so I won't get into it now. I'll probably save this for next time, just because by that point we're going to have more of these mystery titles will be revealed by then. Right now, they've literally just done one. So that, that's not really worth talking about. See what these are. Okay, let me scrolling down. I should have just gone straight to StudioCanal, but here it is. So The Graduate, we all know The Graduate, at least you should. If you don't, it's an all-time great classic movie. Winner of the Academy Award for Best Director and winner of the 5 BAFTAs, including Best Film. The Graduate from 1967 is one of the most celebrated and highly influential classics in modern time. We all know this. Dustin Hoffman and Bancroft, we know this. It's a 3-disc set, including the Simon and Garfunkel soundtrack, which they play ad nauseum throughout the movie. 64-page booklet with new essays from Christina Newland, David Jenkins, Helen O'Hara, and Simon Brew. 2 posters, the original and new artwork poster. 3 commentaries on the UHD disc. One by Professor Thomas Kebner, one from Mike Nichols and Steven Soderbergh, and one with Dustin Hoffman and Catherine Ross. Then for the bonus features on the Blu-ray, there's a meeting with an author, Charles Webb, one-on-one with Dustin Hoffman, interview with producer Lawrence Turman, The Graduate looking back, The Graduate at 25, students of The Graduate, screen test, scene analysis, about the music, the seduction featurette. This is available for pre-order now in the UK Amazon, I think. But yeah, I had to mention this. The Graduate is an all-time classic movie. It's the movie that kind of launched Dustin Hoffman's career. It's an all-time classic. They teach it in film schools. I can't recommend this movie enough. They've parodied it in in movies and pop culture, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so also keep a lookout. My guess is we will get a Criterion 4K announcement soon. So keep that in mind. So the next Criterion announcements will probably be next week, because the 11th is this Friday. So next week will be about mid-July already. This summer's moving by too fast. So we'll probably get Criterion announcements next week. Check and see if The Graduate's in there. If it is, hopefully they've got some of these special features in here or new ones, because I would hate for them to just use the same old special features that they had on their Blu-ray re-release. But yeah, we'll check that out. And there's some other stuff from StudioCanal too. Let me bring these up really quickly. They're putting out two-way stretch, which is the through their Vintage Classics line, which is the Peter Sellers film. I've talked about that already. It's in Huntley Prison, a group of cellmates, Peter Sellers, Bernard Cribbins, and David Lodge, plan the perfect burglary by escaping the day before their release, then breaking back in again. So basically, it's like Peter Sellers, 2 other people. I've talked about this movie. They're going to break out of prison, commit a crime, a burglary, then break back into prison, because then their alibi will be, well, we were here the whole time. There you go. And StudioCanal is releasing this. And it's got a new Peter Sellers Criminally Good, new 2-way stretch, Sellers on the inside, audio commentary by authors and comedian historians Gemma Ross and Robert Ross. Then we have Heavens Above. The inimitable Peter Sellers stars as John Smallwood, an idealistic reverend appointed to the parish of an upper-class village by mistake with a bad habit of telling the truth at all times. Smallwood makes several clerical decisions that shock his wealthy landed gentry parishioners. I kind of want to see this. I really wanted to watch this, but it's got new special features here. Sellers taking off in Heavens Above. Heavens Above, a Q&A with Daily Mash's Tom Whitley, Eva Griffin, and Benedict Morrison. Heavens Above, The Mask Behind the Mask. Then audio commentary by Gemma Ross and Robert Ross as well. So these, I believe, have Blu-ray releases already from, I want to say Kino, but not with these. Yeah, because Kino just came out with 2-way stretch in March, and I don't believe these have those special features. No, they don't. no, they don't. They have really nothing in the way of special features. But Heavens Above, let's see, what do we have here? Heavens Above just came out in April. Yeah, Heavens Above just came out in April, and they don't even have a review for it up on Blu-ray.com. Of course they don't. Okay, so either way, the Studio Classics releases are better releases because they have more special features. A mystery solved there. Um, I think that's it in terms of. Oh, Imprint's coming out with Wolf Creek. Quick mention there. Imprint's coming out with Wolf Creek in a 4K UHD version of that. Um, so check out those special features list because I really want to get to Arrow right now. So here we go, Arrow. Um, we've got a list of their September releases. A little low key, a little low key. I'll be honest with you guys. Not necessarily stuff in here that I'm looking forward to getting. To be truthful with you, some of these are actually re-releases in the UK of stuff they've released here, and some are, uh, you'll see in a second. So they are Proof of the Man from 1977, Lost in Space from 1998, Creepshow 2 from 1987, Hellbender from 2021, The Good, the Bad, the Weird from 2008, The Woods from 2006, Deadstream from 2022, and American Gigolo, which they've already released like last year in the US. So I believe American Gigolo, this will just be a 4K re-release. Um, I believe The Good, the Bad, the Weird is just a 4K re-release in the UK. So they've got the rights for the UK version of that. Um, I think Creepshow 2 is an upgrade from their DVD, from their Blu-ray, sorry. Lost in Space, and maybe one that's a nostalgia pick for several people. I watched this movie when it came out back in the day. At least I saw it on TV. I rewatched it now. It's not necessarily something I would buy for myself, but I guess there are people who have a nostalgia for it. Um, the movie certainly probably has its fans. It's probably more of a cult hit now than anything. Of course, Lost in Space, the famous, I believe, 1960s sci-fi show. Um, they did a Netflix series a few years ago. I don't know how good that was. But yeah, so I don't know if that's something people are interested in. I can tell you is that there are a lot of special features here for it. So this family is, it's the year 2058 and the earth is on the brink of collapse. The Robinson family is chosen to lead a critical mission to colonize a distant planet aboard the Jupiter 2 spacecraft. But the mission is sabotaged by the traitorous Dr. Zachary Smith, and the ship veers off course and plunges through a rift in space or space time, leaving the Robinsons stranded in an unknown universe. Now lost in a hostile alien galaxy, the family must trek through the treacherous environments, battle deadly creatures, and avoid Smith's unpredictable schemes. Um, yeah, the movie, it says Lost in Space is a thrilling tribute to the classic 1960s TV series with dazzling visual effects. Okay, hold your roll. And the visual effects from the 90s, the late 90s. Let's not call them dazzling now. They are what they are. You know what I mean? The late 90s special effects don't hold up very well. Let's be real with all of that. Um, and an all-star cast. We've got William Hurt, Mimi Rogers, Matt LeBlanc, Heather Graham, and Gary Oldman as the nefarious Dr. Smith. Gary Oldman in this movie is kind of a standout in the sense that he's in a completely different movie than everybody else. I dive into the epic adventure of Space Family Robinson, available for the first time on 4K in a stunning new restoration. Um, I'm actually curious what the restoration looks like because the Blu-ray's been around for a long time. I want to say the Blu-ray's been around since like the late 2000s. So this movie probably definitely needs some type of restoration or remastering. But the movie is what it is. I mean, it's not a great movie. Just upon rewatching it, I know, like I said, I know it has a lot of its fans. I know it probably has a cult following now. If you're a big fan of Lost in Space and you're a completist for Lost in Space from the '60s show to the Netflix series, you may want this. But it is right. It is kind of an homage to 1960s sci-fi. You know what I mean? I would say that's the most positive thing I could say about this movie. And it's a fun adventure. It really is. But for special features, this thing's kind of loaded. Archival audio. There's 2 archival audio commentaries. A Space Odyssey, a filmed interview with the director, Stephen Hopkins. Lights in the Sky, a newly filmed interview with the director of photography. A Journey Through Time, a newly filmed interview with producer and screenwriter Akiva Goldsman. Art of Space, a newly filmed interview with supervising art director Keith Payne. Crafting Reality, a newly filmed interview with Kenny Wilson, former mold shop supervisor at Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Wow. Sound of Space, Lost But Not Forgotten in Space, a new video essay by film critic Matt Donato. Building the Special Effects and Archival Featurette with Visual Effects supervisor Angus Bickerton and animatronics supervisor Mac Wilson. I will say a lot of practical effects in here as well as late 90s CGI. A lot of animatronic special effects um, are in this movie too. If you're into that, the future of space travel and archival featurettes exploring the film's vision of the future. Yeah. There's a Q&A with the original cast of the TV series. Coming out September 1st or September 2nd, depending on if you're in the UK or the US. Creepshow 2. So Creepshow 2 is the sequel to Creepshow, which is probably a lot obvious. Pretty obvious. So Creepshow, I really like Creepshow a lot, actually. I've got the 4K edition. Oh, where are you? It's over there on my shelf somewhere. I think that's it right there. Yeah, Creepshow from Shout Factory / Scream Factory. I've got that release. Creepshow 2 is not great. It's not bad. It's just another couple of creepy anthology segments. Really. Yeah. Thing is, it's not directed by George Romero like the first one is. I don't even know if Stephen King wrote it or not. But it's got it's retaining. It's based off of it's an homage to EC Comics. Let's see. In Old Chief Woodenhead, a group of young hoodlums face retribution from an unlikely source after looting a local hardware store. Meanwhile, the raft sees a group of horny teens wishing they'd read the warning signs first before taking a dip in a remote lake. Finally, an uptight businesswoman finds herself with some unwanted company following a hit-and-run incident in The Hitchhiker. Yeah, it's 3 segments. It's super short, super fun. It's definitely something to watch around Halloween. I know a lot of fans love Creepshow and Creepshow 2. There's even a Creepshow 3, and there's a Creepshow TV series that was most recent. I think it was a Shudder original, if I remember correctly. But this is a 4K restoration by Arrow Films from the original camera negative, Dolby Vision. Let's see, audio commentary with the director Michael Gornick. That's right. It wasn't George Romero. Screenplay for a sequel, an interview with screenwriter George Romero. Tales from the Creep, an interview with actor and makeup artist Tom Savini. That's kind of great. Poncho's Last Ride, an interview with actor Daniel Baer. The Road to Dover, an interview with actor Tom Wright. Nightmare in Rome Rubber, and archival feature on the special effects of Creepshow. See, that's what I'm interested in, because special effects are really great. Greg Nicotero worked on the special effects. My friend Rick Howard Berger on his special effects mentor, Rick Baker. That's awesome. Rick Baker, the legend. Behind the scenes footage, all that stuff. So yeah, I guess if you have the first Creepshow, you may want this. Yeah, you kind of have to get this one too. Let's see. So yeah, Creepshow 2 does have a standard Blu-ray release from 2013 here in the US. Creepshow 2, like I said, has a Blu-ray release from 2020. That's not that long ago. But I guess Creepshow doesn't have a Blu-ray release in the UK yet. At least not that I'm seeing here. Maybe I'm just... Hold on. Let me actually check. Oh, no. Yes, it does. From 2013. Sorry, my bad. My fault. Okay. Let me go back to what I was just looking at. Ba, 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 ba. Why is this doing this? I have to get back to my list. Hold on. Okay, so Proof of the Man I haven't gotten to see, so we'll skip that for now. Just the Time and fatigue is setting in. Time and fatigue is setting in. I see the horizon. Let's see, Hellbender. So Hellbender is a witchy movie. I love how they say this here. So the sixth feature film from the acclaimed Addams family. It's not the Addams family like you're thinking. Hellbender is a spellbinding folk horror and coming of age story boiling over the adolescent rage and wicked witchcraft. So yeah, we have a little folklore stuff here. Teenager Izzy lives in isolation with mother because she has a rare immune disorder, or so she is told. After befriending local girl Amber, Lizzie begins to question the reality of her disease, and when she eats a live worm as part of a teenage game, she soon develops a ravenous hunger for living things. Learning that she is the latest in the line of hell-bending and supernatural beings who possess immense powerful abilities, witchcraft abilities. So, yeah, it's movie's kind of relatively low key, relatively slower paced, and it's dealing with like not even teenage angst in it. It really doesn't. It's just kind of this poor girl who lives alone in the woods with her mom and kind of isolated. The movie's very creepy, I would say. It's got a great punk rock soundtrack because her and her mom play punk rock for some reason. It's never really quite explained why. They just like play punk rock at their house. I don't know why. But anywho, some special features here. Brand new audio commentary with the filmmakers. Um, From the Forest She Rises, a brand new essay by filmmaker Jen Handorf. Black Magic Tricks, a feature on the visual effects by visual effects artist Trey Lindsay. Yeah, a lot of visual effects in this movie. Behind the scenes compilation footage. Fort Warden, a short film by Zelda Adams. 4 music videos. That's kind of cool. And that's it. That's Hellbender. Good, the Bad, the Weird, we've already talked about because it's already got a Blu-ray release here. It's the same special features that were on the US release, so we don't have to really talk about that. Unless I'm no, because the Good, the Bad, the Weird already came out. Why is it giving me 2 release dates? Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. The Good, the Bad, the Weird. No, I guess not. Then why did I? Interesting. Oh, you know what it is? It's the opposite. Okay. So, The Good, the Bad, the Weird came out in the UK last year, in December of last year, and now it's getting a US release in September. That's what it is. Okay, so I had it backwards. I was like, I watched the movie before and I talked about it before. So, this US release is probably the same special features wise. So I've already talked about this release when it was released in the UK. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense now. Okay, now I'm more hip with it. Let's see what else we've got here. I think there's one more. Oh, The Woods. Okay, this is an interesting movie. So, um, directed by Lucky McKee, followed. Let's see. Oh, yeah, it's the same director who directed May, the movie May, which just got another release. May has a limited edition, like deluxe release from Second Sight, and it just got another release as well. Oh, who was it from? Was it from Vestron? No, it wasn't Vestron. That'd be crazy. When did it? 2002 is when May came out. Yeah, it was Vestron. Okay. Yeah, but they just got a Vestron Collector's Edition of May, and I think it had all the same special features from the Second Sight release. But May is a good dark film. Good dark film. Kind of messed up. Yeah, messed up. I talked about it when Second Sight released it, but this is the movie the same director made after that. So New England, 1965, rebellious teenager Heather is sent by her parents to a repressive all-girls boarding school in the heart of a dark forest under the watchful eye of mysterious headmistress, Miss Traverse, who is portrayed by Patricia Clarkson. Heather finds herself developing a previously untapped supernatural abilities. Beset by increasing disturbing visions and mysterious voices, Heather must harness her powers to uncover the terrifying truth of what whispers from the woods. Um, Also starring Bruce Campbell and Rachel Nichols, and beautifully shot by John R. Leonetti, who shot The Mask. The Woods is a haunting tale of female empowerment and the occult drenched with atmospheric and suspense. While I was watching the movie, it reminded me a lot of not only folk horror, which obviously takes place in the woods, so you might as well connect it there. It reminded me a lot of Sam Raimi, but like early Sam Raimi. I'm talking like the original Evil Dead Sam Raimi. Not so much the kind of lighter horror comedy of Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness and stuff like that, but like early Evil Dead, like the first Evil Dead. It reminded me a lot of that. It's in that type of vein. Not only because of the direct connection with Bruce Campbell being in it, um, but just gave me that type of vibe as well. And if you're a big Bruce Campbell fan, he's not in the movie a lot. So don't buy this movie or watch this movie because you're a big Bruce Campbell fan and you want and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see Bruce Campbell. He's not in the movie a lot. He's just kind of a headline here just to get people interested in watching the movie. But for some special features, brand new audio commentary by director Lucky McKee and critic Walter Chaw. Into the Woods, a brand new video interview with Lucky McKee and storyboard artist Vanessa McKee. You Don't Own Me, a brand new video interview with actress Agnes Bruckner. Storyboard Gallery, a brand new featurette showcasing Vanessa McKee's original storyboard artwork for the film. The film is very atmospheric. 10 days on the set, never before seen behind the scenes footage from the film set. Um, and that's it. They got a trailer, image gallery. This is and I believe this is a Region B release only. Yes, this is only Region B. Um, Deadstream I didn't get to see, unfortunately. American Gigolo we've talked about before because it's getting, and now it's getting. This is the one that's got a US release last year, now getting a 4K release. We've talked about it before. You can check out all the special features. Many of you probably even own it. It's the same special features. It's the same release except it's in the UK. So that is it for Arrow for September of 2025. We've got Proof of the Man, Lost in Space, Creepshow 2, Hellbender, The Good, the Bad, The Weird, The Woods, Deadstream, and American Gigolo. So that is everything from this episode of Chasing Labels. This is episode number 168 or spine number 168. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. If you are just checking out the audio version of this, you can find the audio version of this pretty much anywhere podcasts can be found. You can find it on like Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, places like that. Obviously, if you're watching the live stream or if you're interested in watching the live stream, you can go to YouTube and check out Chasing Labels YouTube channel, where not only do we have the episodes of Chasing Labels, but we also have episodes of our other stuff that we've got going on now, the Unwatched Pile, which we do once a month, which is typically the end of the month, where we take a movie from our collection that we haven't seen yet, that's been sitting on our Unwatched Pile. We watch it, and then we pair it up with another movie in our collection that kind of goes along with it as like a double feature. We just did that most recently at the end of June. We also sometimes have a special guest on if we can find anybody who wants to talk about it, talk about their unwatched piles. And then we've also got Movies Down Memory Lane, where we take a movie from our yesteryears. We take a movie perhaps from our yesteryears, actually, but typically it is. We take a movie from our past lives that's meant a lot to us, means a lot to us, why it does, when we saw it, all this kinds of like background connections with it and whatnot. Each of us take turns doing it. It's me, Stephen Billings, our friend Dan Skip Allen. It's my turn next, and I will be doing The Lion King, which came out in 1994. I think I should probably look that up. I believe The Lion King came out in 1994. A movie that meant a lot to me as a kid. Obviously, I was lucky enough to grow up in the middle of the golden age of Disney, or the Disney Renaissance, as it's known as well. I'll be honest with you, growing up during that time, I didn't know that we were in the middle of a golden age or a renaissance. All I know is that Disney was making good stuff, and I was a little kid and I was loving it. It's really like it's interesting kind of going back and looking at those kinds of things. Um, I talked about A Knight's Tale already. We talked about E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which obviously is something a lot of us saw when we were younger. Steven talked about School of Rock once, which is the the Richard Linklater Jack Black film, with his connection to music and all that kind of stuff. But it's a fun show, kind of recollecting on a lot of older films that we don't really talk about a lot. So we do that about once a month as well. Actually, we do that every 2 weeks. Sorry, we do that every 2 weeks. So that will be coming up sometime soon. And then, of course, 2 weeks from now, which will be, like I said, will be the 21st. By that point, we will have, of course, Criterion and whoever else. I'm pretty sure we'll have Radiance by then as well. I think they're dropping stuff either this week or next week. So we will talk about that. But yeah, also check out anything else that we've got here on the Chasing Labels stuff. I'm still plug this because why not? I never thought I'd be able to do this in my lifetime. We did get to talk to Sean Baker. We talked about him when it came to his release of Honora, as well as his release of Prince of Broadway. So I'm just hit the microphone. We talked about Prince of Broadway. We talked about Honora, and I just pointed them up opposite of them. So check out that interview that's up here on the channel as well. So I'm tired. So thank you all once again for all the support that you give us. Also, Steven, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. I might as well. We will be having Chasing Labels and kind of movie related merchandise that we are currently working on. It's in the test phase right now. Where we're kind of just testing out quality, really. So there will be Chasing Label shirts available, mugs available, things like that. The usual kind of merchandise. We've talked about it for years, but we're really starting to kick that into mode now. So they will be available on Etsy at some point. I don't know if it's like I'm officially allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Why not? So I will obviously we'll let you know. Keep up with Chasing Label social media. Yeah. So, as I say every time we end this, hey, keep on watching those movies because I know I will.